There you go.
Yay! Gemini
Yeah.
Jesters ran rampant. That was my go-to crucible. Annoy the crap out of everybody who is in Iron Banner. Hi, Pins. I'm okay. Not as good as I was about 12 hours ago, but things will be okay in the long run. Things are moving, so that is good. But we have almost a retaining wall in, so that's good. I just have more digging to do because that is my life now. So, Gemini
What are you, a
just...
dwarf from frickin' Snow White?
I mean, I am short. It's like I have
That's a good
just
point. I wasn't
the
even
fortitude
thinking
to continually shovel without any problems. But
that.
nah,
You just need to whistle while you work.
nope, not gonna happen. What's funny is like lately, if something has like made me angry, I get into these cleaning or like get projects done mode, which is great. Julie's coming home and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're getting so much done." Yeah, things are pissing me off. But let's see here.
So your superpower when you get angry is to
Mm-hmm.
clean.
Mm-hmm. It is. My house is entirely clean, and there are flowers for Julie.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always cleaning.
Mm-hmm. I still need to go see that movie. You'll never get rich by digging a ditch. You're in the army now.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a pretty good movie.
I've heard that, and I've heard lots of things. Who was it? Which one was it? Not Miss Marvel. Is it Miss Marvel that stares down Thanos and
Captain Marvel?
Captain Marvel. Thank you.
Marvel, yeah.
Thank you.
I mean,
Miss Marvel's
technically-
DC.
To be fair, she does more than stare him down.
Technically, it's same person though.
Yeah. Well,
Captain and
yeah.
Miss are
Captain,
same.
Miss. Yeah, they are the same.
It's just in different standpoints in their life that
Ah.
Marvel just continues to go ahead and disavow.
Well, it was.
Thanks for the sub pins.
Is Miss Marvel? That was before, and then Captain Marvel came about after like Ultimate, wasn't it? Was it an Ultimate that they reintroduced her as Captain?
They really kind of have reset the whole idea of who Miss and Captain kind of were, thanks to resetting it more often than they probably need to.
Well,
and failing at it every single time by the look of things to capture readers and such. Miss, however, started as I think it was late 60s or early 70s. It started as a black woman that I cannot remember her name, unfortunately, who had powers that were similar to what Carol kind of has. And as it kind of grew on and changed, they ended up kind of building a little bit further, changing up things and systematically altering how her powers should be devised or portrayed. Long story short, she ends up putting down the original Miss Marvel puts down the mantle, is a friend of Carol's. Carol gets her powers from Marvel, but they share those powers because of an incident that happens. But basically the other one just retires, and that's where it all sort of builds from there. And then Carol, the later, is Kree or not? I forget what Marvel actually is. But Captain Marvel ends up dying and gives the mantle over to Carol, who changes from Miss Marvel to Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, yeah, okay.
Gotcha.
Because Marvel was... She wasn't Kree, she was...
Marvel was also a dude in the originals, I would point out.
Was she? Or was he?
I did know that. Yep. I did know that.
Yep. Yeah, the original Marvel was a dude. They actually completely disconnected it in the... this is why you don't know the comics before going to see Captain Marvel. because it completely is different from anything that they've written so far with the character in the comics, and is completely standoffish compared to what they had with the original comics. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. They can have their own mythos, which they've obviously taken rights and so on with the way that the character is kind of driven and changed and so on, along with any of the other characters in the MCU. But this one continues to get rewritten and continues to not be liked by absolutely anyone on a grand scale. You know, their new line of it, first run was 78,000 copies. Second issue was 52,000. Current issue is 30,000. That is the weakest comic book sales out of like almost any franchise that they've sold for Marvel in a long ass time. It's not looking good for them.
No kidding.
It makes you wonder what they're misstepping on with that, because like the MCU's version, like I mean, like it's a superhero movie, so you know it's kind of like the trope is there, but at the same time it wasn't half bad. Like, I mean,
right,
I didn't mind it. Pins, I know that Marvel was really kind of intertwined with the X-Men, but I can't remember.
I think she did. I want to say she did. I want to say she did.
Miss Marvel was very much linked up with the original X-Men.
Okay.
As well as the colored Miss Marvel was very much linked with them. But Carol Danvers had no general link with the X-Men. No.
Oh, I got my sword arms, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just pulled it from Zur.
Nice.
What the fuck is this? Shotgun loader? What the hell is that? Piece of crap.
I mean, some of us like shotguns.
That requires me to get way too close.
Yeah, that's true.
They're pretty though. They definitely need a paint job. Let's see. What shaders do I have?
Let's see here. How is everybody in chat? Hi, Screwball. Hey.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, because the new Ms. Marvel or Miss Marvel is Kamala Khan, the stretchy girl.
I can't even keep up anymore when it comes to
she is
Marvel.
Yeah, the current Ms. Marvel.
Oh, because it changed. That's
Kamala
right. Because okay.
Yeah. There you go.
I keep forgetting that it's also like a title that gets passed around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gotta say, Ms. is basically the original title because of the original Ms. Marvel that existed, and now I just have to like keep trying to find her.
Verdant Chrome on the shards. That's that's a pretty color.
Mm-hmm.
But
I like the new shaders.
But I'm going to have to go with Descendant Vex. I like the rust.
Okay, now go run Blind Well.
Because Shards is the one with Blade Barrage, right?
Correct.
Yes. Okay.
It's the one where when you're running well, you can solo the Minotaurs.
If I put I love the Descendant Vex Chrome. It's just as like, hey, look, this is a shit ton of old metal. It's all rusted.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, sidearm loader. Okay, impact induction, that'll work. Sword scavenger. Okay, I can do with this. I can do this.
Ay.
Oh, so these are basically like the Orpheus rigs for Blade Barrage.
Correct.
Got it.
And you don't. The nice thing is you don't even have to kill the creature to get it to proc. Yep. So when you have the buff in Blind Well and you hit the Minotaur, you automatically refill it.
Oh,
as long as you have the buff.
That's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody cares for my rant to continue at all here. Monica Rambeau is the original Captain Marvel.
Rambeau!
Is it kind of like the title for Green Lantern?
Yes. Yeah, I mean...
Because the Green Lantern has changed hands
there can be
times.
So there can be multiple Green Lanterns.
Right, because there's the Green Lantern Corps.
Right. Well, there can be multiple lanterns. Like, there's, because there's not just Green Lanterns. There's the whole spectrum.
I know. Like the...
And there's multiple Green Lanterns, because there's the whole, the whole group. Right. There can only it's kind of like...
as far as the ones in the comics, though, because there's the Kyle Rayner and
the ones that interact with
asshole Earth. Who has the bar, who's a redhead.
I love him just because everyone hates him.
I don't even know his name. Guy Gardner. There we go. That's Gardner. His name.
He doesn't stay a Green for very long either.
Oh, I know.
He's a douche. But yeah, no, Green. So like Marvel's more like it's more like Batman, if that makes sense. Like it's like there's only one, or Shazam, like which is also really funny because that's Marvel. But anyways, like it's like there can only be one. There's only one at a time, really. It seems like, but though I don't know if that's
like Star Sapphire. Then I guess there's more than one Star Sapphire.
Star Sapphire.
Star Sapphire is the only singular person, though. I mean, there's the Star Sapphires. But there's only one leader of them.
6 of them,
well,
right?
You also have to kind of figure the way that the powers are passed down. Because here's where things are interesting with the original comic book versus what they did with the Captain Marvel movie. Monica Rambeau's character was a Kree alien.
Okay.
And it started as Mar-Vell. And I just make sure I'm not getting this wrong at this point.
Can you tell where my strengths are in comic books? I know way more about DC than I do Marvel.
Right.
Period.
Which is fine.
Yeah, and funny enough that you say that, because I actually forgot that while I'm sitting here reading this. The entire reason for Captain Marvel to even exist was to combat the rising popularity of Shazam.
I know. Really?
Well,
because
they share
Shazam,
a name. They share a name.
Shazam is kicking Captain Marvel's ass, quite frankly.
Well, he's ridiculous, isn't he? Like, isn't he kind of an almost parody type count?
Well, that's what I think. It kind of gets
kind of.
Think of Saitama. Like, if we're gonna bring anything up here for like anime or something, think of Saitama from One Punch Man, because that's basically what he was. He was a joke character before joke characters existed.
Right.
Nobody really had that listing in there. The problem is, and I think that this comes down to the popularity levels between them a little bit more. Shazam wasn't taken seriously. Captain Marvel was taken seriously.
That's funny.
And the ironic part about this, the DC comic wasn't taken seriously. The Marvel comic was taken seriously.
Though granted, when you incorporate King Arthur and Merlin into your current mythology, it kind of gets a little wonky.
Yeah.
Say my name. What's your name? Shazam. Oh, sorry.
Yup.
Putting Zach Levi as Shazam was a genius move. All right. So you want to...
Ooh, Dwyer for the bits. Thank you for the bits, Dwyer. Sorry, that's a little delayed.
Okay, so I'm wrong on my general idea here. So to reiterate, actually, Monica Rambeau doesn't start to be Captain Marvel right away. It's actually the adventures of Captain Marvel originally, which is actually Mar-Vell, the Kree alien. Mar-Vell was not meant to do, or was not meant to go as long as he did, but he ended up running for a lot longer. and they ended up killing Mar-Vell off. Monica Rambeau ended up grabbing hold of the powers that he had, so they passed into her. Thing is that she didn't go by the name of Captain Marvel for a rather long time. She started to call herself different names. The first was Photon. Photon ended up picking on a lot of the same powers, but they weren't as to the degree as what Mar-Vell had, because she had to learn them and execute on them a little bit further. But then she ended up going through like another name change here, it seems like through the early 2000s, called Pulsar. And Pulsar is another name that just builds off the Captain Marvel mythos, but is still within Captain Marvel. The entire time, this is still like going off of the Mar-Vell powers, but not necessarily the same thing. So I guess in some ways you're kind of on the right track with what you were thinking, Green.
Mm-hmm.
Just at the way that the powers are kind of like laid down.
Okay.
But then she goes through another name change, like later 2000s, like 2010 and so on. She goes up to, what was it here? Spectrum. So she has gone through all these different name changes and is actually running next to within Secret Wars. She's actually running next to Carol Danvers, who has the power of Captain Marvel.
Interesting.
So that's where, for me, a lot of the power handling and how it's been passed down, one, doesn't necessarily seem to make any sense. Two, where did Carol Danvers get the powers from? Because they didn't necessarily explain it too well, except to just say, hey, she's got powers, look at this. I really think that is where they failed with this character. I really do. They can't get the story straight for her.
I mean, comic books have so many rewrites on origins and how, and it's hard unless you really love a character to really stick with them. But even Wonder Woman has had some weird rewrites, like the whole Wonder Woman Superman romance.
Right.
Wrong.
Super weird.
Wrong. Heresy.
Well,
it was alternative universe.
Heresy.
That's how they explained it.
Yep.
Anyway.
Well, that's where they were very clear with the New 52 that it was its own arc.
Mm-hmm.
And then in addition, it was something that they never really wanted to mess with too much anymore.
Never mentioned that.
Basically, there were a couple good things out of New 52, though.
I think so.
They had a couple of good ones, but
they had some interesting rewrites.
Yeah, for the most part, I'm just really not too interested in who it was. Wicked says Carol originally got her powers from a device built to give free powers. She was helping them build it, and it exploded, which is basically what happened with.
So it's the Flash.
Yeah, not far from.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I really think that's where, like, the rewrites that they've had with the character as well, have all talked about the powers that Ms. Marvel had originally, or that that Monica Rambeau had been given. The fact that she ended up getting like the offshoots of those powers and then is as powerful as she is the other thing that doesn't necessarily follow up with a lot of continuity. Granted, we're talking comics and continuity, of course that doesn't necessarily match up well. But I really think that's where they keep failing with this character, honestly. I'm going to keep coming back to that. I've yet to see any compelling writing for Captain Marvel, and I'm still really confused why Disney is making her necessary, and I don't mean Brie Larson, but I just mean Captain Marvel in general, the new head of the Avengers, or the new lead of the Avengers. It just feels really, really rough. Even when they've got characters that they can pull from, like Black Panther, who I believe at one point or another had the ownership or workarounds with the Avengers.
I think they're just trying to have a female lead. to counter Wonder Woman, which granted...
That's really where I will argue and say, sure, you can have it, but then base it off of this other one that was your original, the one that actually follows continuity, and it's actually, like, held the test of time. I honestly just don't understand what they're even attempting to do with the current Captain Marvel, because nobody's been able to figure out what they're doing with her.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like, when the comics emit a mess, and you're running that as your main line through the movies?
Here's the problem. No, actually, it's not. They've proven it as a concept once before, because Iron Man was doing shitty in the comics until they did Iron Man 1.
Not with Ultimates.
He was not with Ultimates, but like the new line that they were doing with him
everyone
was not selling.
The new line.
Right. But after they did Iron Man in the movies, it turned up and was just his comics started selling again.
The old comics also ended up getting a boost, but the new lines that they were running still couldn't hold a candle to the originals that were being produced, unfortunately.
And I mean, like, the new lines are also the ones that, like, you kind of... I think that was also around the time that Civil War was going as well. And that was a huge contention point. I mean, even you had writers who were not even comfortable with that storyline because of what they made Iron Man do in it.
Yeah,
right.
Like it was. I mean, there are writers who have gone on record saying that they did not want anything to do with it, but they are, like, contractually obligated to write stuff because of the way that they were told to have basically Iron Man and Cap come to a head. Like, I mean, that entire arc as a whole was uncomfortable at best, I guess would be the easiest way to say.
It seemed out of character in some respects.
It was extremely well. I mean, like, Captain America actually stayed, like, pretty true, but, like, the whole thing between him, like, the only part that Cap did that didn't really make a lot of sense was he was contentious. Like, he didn't really try to talk to anybody. He was very combative, and it was really it was just really... I think that was, like, just a low point in that entire arc, because then as soon as they retconned it, which it was a seasonal event, so everyone knew they were going to, but like as soon as they got back on the okay, hey, let's go back to normal, it was like, oh, thank God. And then, of course, I think that was because then what was next? Wasn't House of M following Civil War, or was House of M before or after Civil War?
I
want to say it was after. Was it before?
No, it was after. Now that
because House of M, oh my God, you want to talk about doing a 180 in my mind,
right?
Like that was just an amazing one. But yeah.
Do we want to start recording?
But top 3.
Right. Recording top 3, like start the recording.
Recording top 3. Yeah. I am good to... Oh my God! I am good to go.
Find a place to hide.
Yeah, well, the Herald just spawned right on top of me, so yes. Time to hide.
Jared, you ready for Audacity?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1, click. And then... You want me just... Everybody ready for top 3?
Yep. I have the backup recording running.
Cool. Awesome. Welcome to top... Blah, 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 blah. Take 2. Welcome to FFC Top 3, a show where we, your FFC hosts, count things down from 3 to number 1. Thank you for joining us this week. As always, if you have a suggestion for top 3, be sure to drop us a note on Twitter at FocusFireChat, in our Discord, email us at focusfirechat@gmail.com, or if you see the poll on Straw Poll, be sure to make a suggestion at the bottom of that poll for our weekly decision, finding out what we're going to talk about. This week, we are going to talk about something I imagine that's going to be a bit sentimental, maybe a bit funny. We're going to talk about our top 3 D1 moments, so Destiny 1 moments. And to start us off, Blue, I'm going to make you go first. What's your number 3, sir?
Number 3 for me was really just the formation of the clan. Not Focus Fire, but my original clan was Leroy Jenkins back when I was running with the DoD. And it's a lot of fond memories, really, to be honest. I can't speak highly enough of the guys and gals that we had in that group. Still good friends with some of them. Damo, actually, that's where I met Damo, who is one of our kind of our head mods on the PlayStation side, especially. And that's really kind of how I met everyone who would later become the Focus Fire group. Was Justin and Willie were also part of the DoD at that time. Justin was with Chatterwhite, and then I'm thinking Willie was with Foxtrot, if I remember that correctly. But yeah, so I actually, that's what kind of started the crazy road down to creating everything that actually is right now happening. So
nice. The clan, I don't know, clans were not a big thing for me when I first started. I played solo. I didn't even get into a clan until almost year 2, I want to say, is when I finally officially got into a clan.
Yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of people, I think I really think that was a large, I hesitate to even refer to it as a subsection, because I really think it was a majority of Destiny 1 players, especially there for year 1 and probably even most of year 2, was because now, I mean, like the Dads of Destiny was one of the larger groups. We had, I mean, several thousand people across all the different sub-clans that, ultimately were there. And then we were, really good friends with like the Dames of Destiny and that whole, large groups that we hung out with. So for us, it was actually a minority to run into people who didn't have clans. But I know if you go take a stroll down history, or, go down memory lane on Bungie.net for the TWAB, you'll notice that a lot of the D1 articles are extolling the whole thing with, join a clan, social game, join a clan, like it was a huge point on their argument there. And so, and I think that was indicative because, for all sakes and purposes, Destiny 1 was kind of it was an icebreaker for this type of game. We kind of take that for granted today, but I mean, at the time, the concept of MMOs were solely like World of Warcraft. Like they were like RPGs. They weren't first-person shooters, really. I mean, you were very hard pressed to find that.
Well, even console RPGs, you really didn't have that, because Skyrim didn't really have anything, or Oblivion. You couldn't do co-op.
Yeah, you didn't have MMOs in the same, like today. I mean, the
Elder Scrolls Online obviously is now, but
I mean, even then, ESO was only on PC. Like it was like, most of the MMOs, if they were around, were PC based, and so I think that was another thing that a lot of people, looking back, might not quite remember, is that when it first started, Destiny did kind of was a groundbreaker for a lot of things, and that was one of the big ones. Was this really doubling down on the social gaming aspect? Like we had Halo, which was you could play with your group of friends, but it wasn't the same as like as a actual formal clan that was supported in game with like the intent of like helping level up your clan and all that stuff. That didn't really, there wasn't a lot of it, and there wasn't a lot of it in the first person shooter environment, especially. So I mean, it was rough the first couple of years, because I helped with like community management with the DoD. With the family clans and stuff like that. So it was definitely getting that concept across to people who weren't used to it. It was fun, I dare say, in some ways.
So, Beard, are you now a superhero after that Thunderstrike?
Yes, yes, I am now the superest hero of the Grizzlies ever.
Wicked in chat. I need to change pants.
Yeah, really. Yeah, if you guys hear anything else, I will try to mute myself and catch it if it seems like it's like super close. But apparently there's a lightning storm going on outside. No real rain or anything, but welcome to spring. Yeah, I have way too many moments in Destiny 1 that actually mean a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, though, I think would actually have to be one from Bungie itself, where they gave me the Stormcaller quest on Warlock.
Ah, yes. The first subclass story mission.
Oh, God. And I played through all of them, because I eventually had a Hunter, a Titan, and a Warlock. But the Warlock, of course, as many of you probably know, means a lot to me more than anything else. I play it the most out of all the classes. I still have the most fun with it in every sense of the word. It's just a super fun class for me to play, all in all. That being said, though, the Stormcaller quest and the amount of like lore and story that kind of goes into it felt like it was what they tried to capture more than any of the others with the stuff that they then did in D2. The way that you went from point to point and became more like in tune with your character, more in tune with the subclass as a whole, as well as also just being able to listen more to like how Ikora would say what a warlock is about, or like what the points of the Stormcaller would be for as you went along and proceeded through the quest. I don't know. I just got more of a sense of connection with the Warlock after that moment. And I think that is overall why that will always kind of be a top 3 moment for me. I don't know necessarily where, but it will always definitely be a top 3 moment for sure.
I will say this as a hunter and be kind of like a heretic, but the Stormcaller mission was my favorite too, and I did not play Warlock. Mm-hmm. I literally only played Warlock to get to that mission.
Yeah.
And that was my favorite of the story missions too. I mean, yes, learning about Tevis and everybody and the Sunbreakers was cool, but the mission where Ikora is basically taking you through a thunderstorm and teaching you how to do it was
pretty awesome.
That was one of my favorites too.
Yeah, it's I don't know anybody that has said that they've hated that mission overall. Just because, again, it made you feel a connection to your character, I think, more than the others had. Sure, pulling the bow and everything for the Night Stalker is so important. Understanding the history and where the Sunbreakers went is super important and necessary. But when all is said and done, when you're connecting to your character, that's the ultimate display of doing so in my mind, is the Stormcaller.
So my number 3 is a mission as well, but it is not for the same reason as your Stormcaller, like sentimental reason. I get scared real easily. I do not like horror films. I do not like gore or anything like that. I will watch it if like somebody forces me to watch it. I don't generally go and seek it out on my own. That being said, the very first mission, you meet the Hive, and all those stupid thrall come running out at you from the Cosmodrome, because you're sitting there and you're trying to crawl to one side of the Cosmodrome to get to the array.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That I threw my controller in the air the first time I played it. And I had to like step back and like breathe for a second because my heart was racing so much.
Yeah.
But there's a few missions that did that to me in D1, and that is the first one that really like jump scared me. Now, obviously now I know what's coming. I'm fine. I'm not that big of a scaredy cat, but man, seeing Thrall run at you the first time was such a big moment for me. Because I was just like, oh god, can't. And I'm like running back and forth, trying desperately not to get killed by just these things that we can one-shot now. It's like, ugh. But,
well, and the hive in general, I think, set up a lot of those moments that made you go, I don't like this.
We awoken the hive on the moon. That mission with, oh gosh, yeah, all those Thrall running at you, and then you have the knights running at you and the acolytes. Granted, that was the farming mission to beat all farming missions, but there's some.
That's how I got imprecation done.
Not Fogoth. The one with the curse thralls was the farming mission.
Because that was
infinite curse thralls, and you just had to nick one of them.
Right, but when you're doing like just regular thralls to kill, that one.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
That was an easy one to do because you'd have like 20 some odd Thrall run at you
at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really how I got imprecation done back in the day for first curse. That was wonderfully easy. And then there's also the meme that started with everything. That wizard came from the moon.
Mm-hmm. Such good times. Blue, number 2.
Number 2 was the Vault of Glass clear. It was the first dungeon that we did. Obviously, it was the first dungeon that Destiny had.
Raid.
Raid. Sorry. Same difference in my brain, which tells you how much I think about these. But you know, it was one of the ones that really just set the tone for Destiny 1 in my mind. Like it was a very, very. It was with a group of guys from my clan. We had one guy who had done it before, but everything else was we did it pretty much blind. And I think the first time through, it was one of those things where it's like the first time through, it was like 6.5 hours, 7 hours maybe, because most of the time I was getting distracted and wandering around. And, but then like, I mean, it got down to a point where as most like day one, D1 veterans, we could clear the Vault of Glass in like 30 minutes, 20 minutes if we were really desperate of getting something. You know, for those who were chasing that ever elusive Fatebringer. And so, Vault of Glass, that first Vault of Glass clear, that sense of elation and of, you know, having figured it out. I think that it's going to be hard pressed to find something that beats that sense of elation, especially.
I never got Fatebringer. I never got Mythoclast. I never played.
Mythoclast, that's even worse. Like Fatebringer was fun. Like don't get me wrong, I loved my Fatebringer. Mostly because as much as everyone makes fun of me for RNG, Fatebringer eluded me for like 2 years. Granted, I also did not chase it as religiously as some people did, but it was
Justin?
still, yeah. Justin was pretty dedicated, but Justin was similar to me. As soon as that Mythoclast dropped and we started playing with that, it was that was definitely one of our favorite one. I mean, it's one of Justin's, if not his favorite one. But yeah, no, Fatebringer was a fun little hand cannon.
Yeah, there's a lot of
few that fit that bill too anymore.
Oh yeah,
it still is a very unique little pistol.
Well, and the thing about Fatebringer was it wasn't an exotic, so you could run it and you could still run another. Like we had a lot of guys who did Fatebringer and then like Icebreaker, which was my favorite one. The other one that we saw a lot of was Fatebringer and Yellowhorn. You know, just because simply. Jesus, the damage output of that rocket launcher was ridiculous. You know, and so there was a lot of that going on too. But I mean, yeah, I don't know what it was about Fatebringer. Because if I remember right, it had Dragonfly, right? Didn't it have Dragonfly?
Yeah. Or
not Dragonfly, was it Firefly at that time?
Firefly, yeah.
Oh my
Again,
gosh.
kind of same difference idea.
And it was Void, if I I believe, which was the fun thing. Was so like the explosion wasn't a
was
solar.
Was it though? Because
was it void or was it arc? It was void or arc. It was not solar. Because
I'm thinking of the alternate timepiece that existed. That's right. The one from the strike that was
right.
That was
yeah. Because I know it wasn't solar, because that was one of my favorite things about it was the explosion did not deal solar damage, which to this day is one of like the weirdest things to see as a gun with I guess it's Dragonfly in D2. But the explosion on Precision Kill, when it's not a solar element, it's the weirdest thing to see that. Like, I love it. I don't know what it is about that, but I just love seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
It was arc. Thank you, Pence. Yeah, it was. Okay.
Yeah, because I was thinking from the matter of like the Thorn Quest, I'm like, that was not one of the weapons I remember seeing everybody use.
No, I'll be honest. The Thorn. Oh God, that Thorn Quest. Thorn Quest was a nightmare for hunters. I'm just gonna put that out there. The very first Thorn Quest. I hate all you guys who had Void subclasses.
But Beard, you're number 2 now.
Number 2 for me is gonna probably be a little bit more overbearing in a way for the game, but it would be when the first time you step on the Dreadnought. The Dreadnought itself was just such a different experience compared to the rest of the previous stuff that we had seen with Destiny 1. And at least for me, like getting onto a ship like that and saying, well, there's a lot of stuff that's going on here that's pretty dang important for the rest of how this game is going to be. And being able to see the architecture in full, I think, was very cool in a lot of rights for Destiny 1. Just to really get a full sense on like what the Hive were all about at that point.
Mm-hmm. It was just so massive compared to a lot of things that we had seen so far.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of short, but yeah, I really just do enjoy the Dreadnought. I hope we kind of go back to it at one point. Just because I think it would be pretty cool to see what it's been doing this whole time, if there is any reason for it.
Would it get more crusty, or would it start falling apart? That's my question.
I would figure, considering it's Oryx Throne World, it would start to fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thinking, anyway. I would think it would be the opposite of it being put together ever again. I really do think it's just about done.
Like another Shattered Throne?
Yeah, something like that.
The weird thing about it, though, too, is that it's kind of half and half, right? Because it's...
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, part of it I can totally see, like, shit. I kind of think of it as, like, a snake shedding its skin.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's part and parcel. Like, there's definitely a significant portion of it that's blah, 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 blah. That's the throne world. But it's also... Yeah, I completely blanked on the word that I was going with halfway through that sentence.
Yeah.
But it's also, it is also, the scrimshawed carcass of Akka as well.
Do you remember what I used to call it? That's not suitable for podcast.
Yes, and I love and hate you for that. Because, that mental image is always going to be with me.
That's an after we stop recording type comment.
Yeah. Yes, very much so.
Yes, it is. It is way adult. But my number 2 for D1 moments is actually similar to Blue's number 3. And it is actually my first raid clear, which was done on Crota, like a year after D1 came out, and Misha 360 is the one who was my Sherpa through it.
Misha was a beast.
She was, and she was so patient. Like, she put up with a lot of, like, Crota was not a hard raid to teach, but when you have 5 blueberries, essentially, who have never done a raid before, go in with you, it was rough, but we got through it. And she's a beast, and she's still one of my favorite people as far as, like, really introducing me into raids, because I never played with a huge group of people who ever wanted to raid, so I never got to until year 2. So I still think of her every once in a while. Number ones, though. Beard. No, Blue first. Blue first.
I'll be honest. The one that stands out for me for number 1 is really the one that they used to bring it all together. The Moments of Triumph. Not just the first one, but all of them. I mean, even though I kind of roll my eyes at some of them, especially the later ones with like Rise of Iron and stuff like that, because at that point I was kind of losing interest in doing some of the stuff that they were, requiring. Like even so, I still think that's a thing that I'm really glad to see being carried over into Destiny 2, because it does a really good job of encouraging people to go out and at least take, a cursory stab into these different aspects of the game that you might not have gone into do. Again, going back to Destiny 1 suffered a lot in the early days with people not being really social, and not in the sense of like chat, but like there were not a lot of established clans, if you will. And so when go for it.
Here's something I'm curious about. The people who still continue to play Destiny, I don't see many people on any rosters that don't have a clan now.
Well, and see, that's the thing is like now with Destiny 2, I think that has, again, I think that's where it's kind of cool is seeing how that community has really grown. Because now it is the norm. Like, now you see these random clan, which, I've always kind of chuckled at some of the clan names. Some of them are just wrong, but most of them are actually kind of tongue in cheek funny. But like, now, and they also have made huge strides with Destiny 2, especially in creating clans. There's actually like logic and ease to do that. It's almost like they have an entire team dedicated to making that a thing. Which huge
they don't
shout
have live teams.
No, not at all. Yeah, I mean, huge shout out to those guys and gals that spend way more time than I think anyone realizes on trying to figure out, the whole thing with like the in-game LFG. That didn't exist. Like that was I mean that was not, did that happen in D1 or was that a D2 thing? I don't even know if it was in D1 thing. Wasn't
like
it
the Nightfall where you go in and it'll match
it
you?
It automatically, or
that's
the buddy.
D2.
That's D2, yeah.
Because
I was like, because it used to be, what was it? Wasn't it? Or no, 100.
Venus?
God, what was it? No. The website that everyone used. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, .io?
.io, I think was, I don't know. I can't remember. I never used it. I always had a clan. But yeah, I mean, so like the Moments of Triumph was another, like, especially that first one. It was like, it was rough on some people because they're like, wait, you mean to do this, you have to do the raid? And it's like, it's kind of like what they're doing with Gambit Prime this time around. As much as I grumble about it, I see the point. It's forcing people to go try a game type that they might not have tried before. As much as I complain and moan and groan about it. And will never, ever touch it other than getting it lore. Yeah, that's my number 1, though, is as much pain as it did cause, it also really made you appreciate the different aspects of the game that you might not, you get in a familiar rhythm. And this forced you out of that rhythm. I thought that was really cool.
It's also a good recap to make you play older content.
Yeah. Don't bring that up. It's a bit of a sore subject for Beard that we can't play missions on.
I know. Beard, what's your number 1?
You had to say that.
That's like the interview. That's like the interview. That's like the Let's Chat with John. Now, before you throw me under the bus, let me.
God.
Anyway, number 1 is I don't know. I've got like 5 different moments that are really swimming in my head, and this has been my problem the whole time that I've been like thinking about this over the course of the week. Which one do I want to pick?
Number 3, go.
Yeah, I was gonna say. No, I think number 1 would actually have to be the point that it all sort of came to a head. I think, if you will, with the way that Destiny 1 was portrayed, and that really was with the Rise of Iron expansion, just at the end of it. When you became a young wolf, and even though Saladin doesn't remember it, Bungie, I still do enjoy that moment quite a bit. I still think that it's extraordinarily important for the way that the entirety of the expansion, and really what the entirety of the game kind of meant at that point. Because you were this whole time you were regarded further and further as somebody that was like really important. You were growing within ranks and whatnot, and then to be given the title of Iron Lord by the end of it was just extraordinarily important, I think, for how everything else can kind of be viewed from then on.
Lighting the fire.
Yeah, well, and then what you did afterward, where of course you were rekindling the forgotten fires around the
temple,
the temple
statues,
and whatnot, with the statues. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that was just so important to talk about the legacy of what was going on with the Iron Lords themselves, and how they were just that well respected. Besides, and then of course having some of that challenged from what we've now got in D2, that they might not have been quite so noble in a lot of rights,
which is nice, I think.
Yeah, I think it kind of peels back the layers a little bit more on how that whole story kind of played out, but definitely just huge props to like how that whole thing, I think, played out, and considering they did it in a relatively short amount of time, because they, from like a production standpoint, I think like Rise of Iron in general is really impressive, because they have like no, or had like no real understanding of what they were trying to do with D2, and they were like, we need something else to fill the gap. I think it was like 6 months or less, and they put together Rise of Iron. I think it's super impressive. It shows exactly what they're able and capable of doing within that time. So yeah, just major props to the team for Rise of Iron. I know not a lot of people liked it. I think it was definitely not universally liked, but I had a lot of fun. Being that I took a lot of time off from Taken King before Rise of Iron came out, I did not stop playing Rise of Iron after it was released. I could not stop or put it down after that point. I just had way too much fun with it.
That is like one of my favorite chapters, I would say, in the Destiny franchise.
Well, it's also kind of like The Hobbit, where it was like a little bit more
it's heartbreaking.
It was yeah. I'm gonna say just the connections and those involved with it. Absolutely.
That final fight scene where you're fighting the 3 Iron Lords that had been transformed. It's rough.
Yep.
Oof.
It's okay. They'll be back.
Yeah. On a happier note. My number 1 is the moments in raids where your clan or your raid team sets you up to do something that you weren't expecting to happen. The boop wall is one of them. It's just those moments.
Go touch the ball of light, quick! It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, like it's. Marley, go first, so we can all we can help pick you up when you fall, because I'm terrible at platforming. Oh my god! So those moments in raids, super awesome Best Friends Forever clan, which is my clan in Xbox from D1. They are all amazing. There's about 7 of us in the clan, and they are Henri ornery people. They pushed me out to do the boot wall. Although my absolute favorite moment happened in Crota, and we had Kevin, who is Bent Squirrely. I'm going to give him a shout out on here. He was running Void Titan. He was running Bubble Titan.
Oh no! Oh no!
And we were doing like just the normal Galahorn type strat, rocket launcher strat, and we always set up on the right side. And there's a spot where I always stand, and for some ungodly reason, he decided to pop his bubble right in front of me as I shoot a rocket, and I just lost it. I completely lost my shit and just started yelling like, "Who put the bubble?" Like just all over. Oh my god! And everyone got really quiet. And he goes, "I'm sorry, it was me." Just real quiet. Everyone just busted out laughing. It was just one of those good moments where I don't get mad in the game. I don't get mad during raids. If you watch me play Crucible, I'll get mad there, but that's a whole different thing. But during raids, I'm pretty calm. I'll do call outs and stuff like that.
She's super calm in strikes.
As long as you know what you're doing in strikes, I'm super calm. I think it's a running thing where if you don't know what you're doing and you put a bubble up where I'm going to blow myself up off of it, or if you throw the stupid relic at the wrong thing.
This is just flashbacks of Vault. Like Vault was because you had you had a similar strategy with that where you jump in the middle on Atheon, and without fail, whenever I ran with Justin's group, Fraggle loved his rocket launcher. The problem was that everyone was standing in the bubble that Fraggle decided to shoot his rocket launcher in. And team without fail, it was a team wipe. He did the same thing with the War Priest. There was, it was oh my gosh.
The other thing that they would do is they would stand outside. Speaking of the War Priest, or not the War Priest, but the what was his name? Not Axion. The Rage of the Machine.
Oh,
or not
yeah.
Rage of
Wrath
the Archon Priest. Wrath of the Machine. The Archon Priest.
Axis.
Well, the one that has the TV room. Not the main boss.
I actually never ran that raid, so.
The first one, I can't remember.
I think it was the priest. Anyway, they would stand outside of the room and not let you in. Or they would stand right in front of the door and not let you in. And it's like, you guys are jerks. What the hell? Don't you want to get done tonight?
It's like, why do you do this?
Why are you the way you are?
Having a social game like this has totally changed how I play video games in general. I have a hard time playing solo now. Like, I can do it. I just enjoy having company and people who are going to make me rage at random things that they do or make me do or other, you know what I mean. It's just, it's a good system.
But again, that kind of goes back to the cool thing about what Destiny has done, not just with like for us socially, but also for the game space. Like, you know, the whole thing with like the battle royales, all these things like clans and other games. I'm not saying that Destiny is 100% the reason why, but a lot of those games, you know, you don't see that kind of stuff, those bold experiments until someone takes that very scary step on the thin ice that Destiny kind of did with D1. And so that's the other kind of really cool thing is like, as far as like, I guess, air quote moments of D1. I mean, I'd almost argue the entire thing was a really cool moment. It's because it was a moment in time of like this really cool, innovative thought experiment as far as game design that just, I mean, I think it's still paying off in dividends.
Well, and for me, especially as somebody that's been a fan of the MMO genre, some that criticize the game will say that it's just an MMO light, and I'll look at it and go, yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah,
The fact that MMOs can be so daunting with the amount of time that are required to put into them, I feel like Destiny just kind of hits the median mark of the kind of stuff that you would hope to see in an MMO, while still being pretty entertaining and still having a good amount of the lore behind it as well. Like the stuff I would expect from a deeper ongoing game that still persists and still kind of exists. So I don't know. Yeah, D1 had its flaws, still really does. D2 has its flaws, but through all of it, I think that it still reminds me very much of like how my love for MMOs sort of was when I was starting to play them and starting to really mess with them. And it's just really, really nice to continue to play the game, to see where it goes and how it develops and so on. And the fact that it started with D1 as that baby that didn't know what it necessarily wanted to be, as much as that's troubled development, it is still one of those things where you look at it now and go, yeah, they kind of got their act together a little bit more, and we can see what it is they're trying to do with it now. And I think that's the ultimate payoff for seeing this through from like the very beginning to where it is now. I don't know if I'd be able to do that again with another game, but at least with the way that Destiny is kind of going right now, if there's any title that I think I would want to put that kind of time and effort into, it would be this world that Bungie's kind of crafted, because there's moments like I think what all of us have kind of gone over are ones that we're going to remember probably to some degree or another to like the day that we probably die. They're ones that have brought us together as community members, but are also ones that have kind of made us think on like, even I would say like who we are as people, especially with mine with the Stormcaller. Just like what it is to be a warlock, or what it is to be a titan or a hunter. And those are constant debates that I think I see on Twitter every day. Like, I don't know. I kind of lost, I think, where I was going with this, but just all in all, just where Destiny has kind of led us and where we are down this path at the moment is just awesome to me. I get asked all the time why I continue to cover Destiny as a title. I'm like, there aren't many other games that continue to persist and keep me interested. And not to discredit any games that are single player like that or otherwise, but it's just an absolute point of fact. Like the way that Destiny is put together in its persistent world continues to bring me back to it.
Yep, I agree. And it's brought us all together.
Yep.
It's created a lot of friendships and a lot of connections that hadn't been there before.
Yep.
Which is nice.
Yep.
Blue. What is next week's top 3?
I don't know yet, because I miscounted, and I shouldn't have taken it off the poll last week, so it's on the poll this weekend. So we'll let you know.
Okay.
Dum.
All right. So,
surprise
top 3 next week. You should really come and hang out with us and see what that top 3 is going to be.
Hopefully you let me know like some point middle of the week. I'll
know Tuesday. I'll know Tuesday. Yeah. Right. I was getting ready for tonight, and I was like, I miscounted that one. I was like, well, I'll get it. I'll get better at this.
That's all right. Thank you for those of you who joined us for this top 3. I hope you enjoyed kind of this flashback, our little kind of, I guess, dive back into what once was. And I guess you could still go back and play D1. A lot of that content is still there.
Yeah.
But I don't know what we're going to do next week. It's going to be fun, though. Join us next time for top 3. And remember, everybody likes a list. And I'll be right back.
All right. I'll tell Thor to calm down.
Oh, I forgot I got all these entries.
All the entries.
Well, I was running whatever the second forge is. The one on Nessus. I don't know. The one with the weird...
Oh, Gafanon?
Yeah, that one. And it kept dropping, like, lore entries. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just keep going until it finally stops. And it just kept dropping them. I was like, all right.
They did fix it so that it's like a 50-50 chance for dropping. So you're just on the I was on the right end
yeah,
at this point.
I was on the right side of the coin, I guess.
Right.
Because I got I think I got 7 or 8 of them.
Yeah. Because I think I had said that to you the other week, but
right, yeah,
that's what had happened to me before they put the change into effect. I just kept running Bergusia until I got them all.
I was like, I'm gonna keep going with this one. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Pins. I'm dodging people.
Yeah, Gofanon is the second one. After that, then you've got Izanami. That'll be the third one.
Yeah,
Izanami's grind start as soon as you can, because it's a doozy.
Which one?
Izanami.
Forge or the weapon?
No, that's Izanagi for the sniper, but the Izanami Forge is a doozy to unlock.
Oh. Okay.
You get one of the igniter parts, and you have to refurbish it and put it back together.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got like a
to
key
do so
or
is
something.
a pain in the neck.
The
key, if it's for lock and key, that's for the Izanagi, the sniper rifle.
Hang on, I'll tell you what it is. Let me dodge.
If he hasn't opened up the forge yet, would he have? He might have one of the keys if you found the one in Gofanon and in
Volunder. Yeah, if you even get one of them, then it unlocks the capability for at least one of them. But yeah,
you still need the butterfly lock.
A black armory key. It says an ornate key with a hand symbol.
Yep.
Is that for the mysterious box?
Yeah, that's part of the mysterious box. You should be able to use it, I think, and it'll...
yeah, it just says insert key, so just insert key.
Just use it, done.
And it'll just disappear, and you'll check off one of the things.
Oh, hand lock. Okay, cool. Oh my god, I can get multi-kills with this. Oh my god.
This is why I don't play Black Armory. I know it's Beard's favorite thing, but I just can't do it.
I don't mind it. It's just one of those things where it's like I haven't gotten a chance to actually dive into it. So
I think I've only played.
Right, but
I've only played the Final Forge.
Blindwell is not the fun place to do sniper rifle. So
Bergusia is actually my favorite one to do.
This is my guilty pleasure. I'm doing the sniper rifle challenge in the Blindwell.
Gross.
My teammates hate me.
I mean, you could stand if you stand really close to one of the little pedal pods.
What do you think I've been doing?
Right on the other side of the map. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oy vey. Yeah.
Multi-kills. Okay, that's not too bad. Come here, you thrall things.
I'm like looking at my notes going, this is gonna be fun.
Hey.
Oh, snap. So I just realized the sniper rifle that I have has fire or dragonfly, which counts as multi-kills.
Yes, it does.
I just got 3 from one shot.
Once you unlock the Black Armory sniper, I think you'll enjoy that one quite a bit.
I think that may be what I'm working on right now. It's sniper rifle beta frame.
That'll be the. It's a Tatara Gaze, but it's a very, in my opinion, very nice sniper.
I agree. That one and the Iron Banner snipers are the two that I enjoy using.
Yeah, both of them. Are
really nice. I have the Dreaming City sniper right now. Is the one I'm using right now.
I think that one just tickles things. Like, it doesn't hit very hard.
Oh, I've been killing things.
Tatara hits a little harder.
Tatara also doesn't kick heavy, which is one of the things that I love about it. But the fact that it doesn't kick hard has a really good sound. Those are the absolute musts for me as a sniper. And I absolutely enjoy using Izanagi's Burden. It is so good.
That's the one that you just got the other night, right?
Yeah.
That was the one that was like body shot killing people in Gambit.
Yeah, it still can.
Yeah.
So here's a fun thing. You might enjoy this one, Beard. There's a podcast that goes. It's called Mythology. It's from Parcast. They just did a 2-parter on Izanagi and Izanami.
Ooh.
It is a really well done episode series. Like the lady who does it, it's part of the Cutler Media group, so it's like got like full voice acting and all this stuff. It's really well done in general, but they've been doing mostly Greek mythology, but they finally kind of branched out and they did a quick one on Izanagi and Izanami, and then they did another one with oh god, I just blanked on her name, the sun goddess who gets when she locks herself in the cave.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
I
since I've read
totally
that
just blank. Yeah, so they do I think that was just a single episode one, but it's seriously, I mean, and it's just like, you know, they don't try to hide the fact that it's like, hey, it's mythology. They're going to be different myths. They're like, we picked the most dramatic ones, and so that's kind of where they come from. But oh my gosh, the Izanagi and Izanami one, it just does a really good job in it actually explaining the dichotomy between the two, and like why that dichotomy exists. And I just was like, I cannot recommend it more. Pins, Mythology. It's in the Parcast network, which has actually Parcast actually has a few decent ones. I'm trying to think. There's another one that I'm listening to. So the hostess who does Mythology also does I think it's Tales, which is the fairy tales in the old Germanic style. So it's like the Grimm brothers version. So like, you know, the original version of these fairy tales. I haven't gotten deep into that one just yet, but the couple episodes that I've listened to are really actually pretty good. And then, oh no, Ridiculous History is not part of the podcast, but that's also another really funny one. Yeah, let me see. I am running right now the Twilight Oath with Firmly Planted and Dragonfly.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun. And things go boom.
Things do go boom.
I feel like Green is having one of those moments.
I'm just like, I'm mentally prepping myself for this one. Because I don't think I've done an extra lore like this one with a new video game.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the multi-killer.
And so I feel like I'm going to put like a little thing at the beginning, like, if I get something wrong, this is one of those things, like, it's still a new game and I'm still digesting the game. But I will try not to say anything wrong, kind of thing. The good news is everything I got was from the screenshots that Shizzler sent over, so they're directly from the game. So I'm like, okay, it should be okay. Please ask questions, and I will try to answer. That is my thing for this one.
Yeah, I know some basics on it, so I'll see what I can do to help. But
cool.
My knowledge is, of course, not the greatest on the topic. But yeah, I'll do what I can.
All right. Well, that sniper frame is done because one blind well run is, woo. Woo. There was a lot of radiant seeds involved in there.
Oh, I know, Potato. I understand that they're still trying to finish the game and push it out, and some of the things that they're dropping now. It's been interesting to watch some of my clanmates who play the game a lot more than I do. I have it. I've played it. I'm not super impressed, personally. And that's something we can get into as far as like a little bit of the politics during the show, but
yeah.
I'm going to say if we're going to do that, I got plenty of thoughts on that.
Oh, God, you're going to unleash the beard.
I think we should do a little bit of that because I think it's fair to talk about how...
we don't want to get sucked into bashing.
No, I don't think it'll be bashing. I think it's just the worry and the thing that you have to just be cautious about pre-ordering when there's really good trailers and really good hype for a game.
Right. Especially when those trailers were things that they had no idea what they were even making.
Yes.
That the moment I heard that, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, it's kind of Beard. You and I are kind of on the same page as that one.
But okay, I think let's get into it so we can actually have this conversation in there.
Jump to orbit real quick, and then okay, there we go. All right. Welcome back for episode 38 of Extra Lore, recorded live on May 3rd, 2019, over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. As always, want to give a big shout out to our live chat here with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Our topic for tonight's episode is going to be a look at Anthem. But first, let's run through a quick introduction of those on the show for tonight. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86. We also have our own master of social media, the one and only Green-Eyed Music Lover. Green, I hope you're doing well. How's the week treated you so far?
It has been a very bipolar week here in Colorado. On Monday, there was snow on the ground. Today, it was kind of hot enough where I had to turn on the AC. So it's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We had a lot of overcast and clouds, and today I got to work on putting up the retaining wall. So if we're ending the week strong, it started out rough, but we're ending strong.
Nice. And then rounding out the usual team, we have our good buddy, the lore content cop himself, Beard Grizzly. Beard, how are you doing? I know there's a bit of a cacophony of a thunderstrike going on behind you.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's just Thor having a good time, all right? Like you calm down over there.
Listen, I haven't seen you in a long time, my friend.
Is it Thor or is it Captain America at this point?
No, it's Thor. It's Thor. Definitely Thor. He's you can tell considering the heavy nature of it, considering that gut. What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! Man. I'm not going to say anything further than that before I get into trouble. But you know what?
I mean, technically, the hot zone of 72 hours is up, right? I mean, that is kind of the official.
Is that the official internet spoiler?
Isn't it 72? Isn't it 72 hours, or is it a week?
I mean,
I don't know.
I say a week to be safe.
Yeah,
okay, fair enough. Whatever.
I mean, we're gonna probably
by the time this releases, we'll be good.
Anyway.
Yeah, we'll be fine
exactly.
outside the week.
We'll be fine. But yeah, no, definitely because of that, we'll just go with that notion. You guys might hear it in top 3 early on, but
yeah, I'm gonna try to knock it out as much as I can. But
then the conversation is going to be really confusing afterwards if you do manage to knock it out.
Yeah, because it's just gonna be like, what in the heck was that? Trust me, it wasn't a bomb. It was a lightning strike that was probably like a good mile or less away from the house.
Mm-hmm.
But it was loud. It was loud.
Man. Well,
it was a thing.
As with most of our extra lore content, I don't think you had. Did you have a community question on this one?
No, not with this one. Okay. I really try not to do.
Yeah, I know
community questions with the extra lores because they're such a broad topic that it would end up just being like a popularity thing more than anything else.
No, I completely understand that one. So let's run through our quick intro notes or standard intro notes, and then we'll get right into it. And then Green, I'm gonna kind of hand it off right over. I'm just gonna hand it right over to you because you're the resident expert on this one.
I'm the resident only person who's ever played it in this one.
That's kind of what I said.
Yeah, it kind of is. I kind of want to start off, and we're just going to get this out of the way. EA and Anthem, and let's just get the politics talk out of the way, because I know that's going to be part of this episode a little bit. Feelings from you two who have not played the game. but have seen the community's reaction to the game from the initial "it's going to be a Destiny killer" hype that was happening to the betas that everybody got to play to the actual release of the game. How did you see the community reacting to it? I'm curious from that perspective, because I played the beta, I have the game, I've played the game, so I know it from that side. But from an outside observer, I want to know what your guys' thoughts are.
I mean, I did play the beta at the very... Pardon me, my dog is coughing. Go ahead, Blue.
I'm gonna die.
It was the dog, apparently.
Yeah. The dog made its opinions very clear. No, I'm
gonna say Shadow put her input in real fast. about how that went.
I'll be real blunt. I don't care. Like, I mean, I don't mean that like as an attack at all. I have so much free time, and I have decided to kind of double down, especially with Destiny kind of getting more interesting for me again here with this past season. I've gotten to the point where most of you probably know this about me at this point, but I don't really pay attention to a lot of social media. I kind of feel like gaming reviews and gaming news is, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like 90% clickbait, it feels like. So the term Destiny killer, quite honestly, I think I don't know. It's the same thing as like back when it was like, oh, this is going to be a Halo killer or whatever. I mean, it's a game. I mean, my kind of, I guess that's kind of my response is like, if it doesn't bring you pleasure to play, like, I mean, I'll be honest, the game that's kind of distracting me from Destiny right now is not actually a first-person shooter game. It's Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. They just released it on Game Pass, and the remake of the Tomb Raider series is amazing. Like, hands down, it is one of the funnest games I've played in a really long time. And so I'll be honest, when I get a chance from, running stuff in Destiny, I hop over there and try to chip away at the campaign on that. I'm a huge solo gameplay person. So, having the big selling point of Anthem being like, we're going to be Destiny, or we're going to be, whatever. The primary thing about Destiny, and we kind of talked about this with top 3, the primary thing with Destiny was it was a social game. If you don't play with a community, you put yourself at a disadvantage. I'm okay playing Destiny solo. I know that going into, like, when I solo queue with Destiny, I understand that I am putting myself at a disadvantage, and I'm okay with that. I choose to partake because I love the world so much. I choose to partake in the world in that fashion. Anthem, I mean, and this is nothing against Anthem or the developers. The game from what I've seen, it looks really cool. It sounds like it's got a really cool story. I'm hoping to kind of get that confirmed here. I mean, I know the people who have dug into it are actually really kind of impressed with it. Mechanics aside, which I'm sure we'll hear a little bit about that. Excuse me. Like, I don't know. It's just, to me, it's like, it's another time sink, and I don't have the time to sink. So I'm just kind of like, I just don't have any interest in it. Like, again, I think it looks really cool, but I know I've gotten to a point in my life where I know myself well enough that if I start looking at another game like that, I'll get sucked in, regardless of mechanics and stuff. And then also, on top of all that, it's a third person. I'm not a fan of third person. Like, Gears of War is really the only third person shooter game that I have ever gotten to a point where I'm like, if a new Gears have come out, I'll probably play through the campaign, just simply because I like the story so much. The third person shooter, like, gameplay to me is just, it's very clunky, especially for my particular play style. And so, because I'm not a run and gunner, like, I don't tend, we were kind of making fun of that earlier tonight. I tend to be the person who kind of sits back and takes precision shots. And so for me, a third person shooter kind of handicaps you. And so then when you're on top of that, you're handicapped because you're playing a community game solo queue. It just starts kind of snowballing. And so, I mean, yeah, so that's a lot of words for something that I just professed that I don't care about. But I guess that's kind of a peeling back of why I take that approach. Yeah, I mean, I really, I haven't even played the beta. I'll be honest. I got it. And I was like, I mean, it looks cool. It's really good. Like the cutscenes that I have seen from
beautiful.
it's just amazing. Like, I love the, yes, Pins, even with the bear, Tomb Raider is amazing. I'm sorry. I just saw chats making fun of me. If you've ever been in a stream with me, just bears in video game and I do not get along. And that's nothing against you, Beard. Sure. That's just like I loaded into, so we played, the original Tomb Raider has a big bear and it literally just kicked my butt for, I think it was like 20 or 30 minutes. I could not get the game to cooperate with me on the mechanics to get around it. And so I'm like, all right, fine, I'm taking a break. We load into Skyrim. Very first thing that happens is a grizzly runs up and just takes my face off. And I'm like, what? I didn't do anything. So yeah, bears are a thing.
Bears and trolls.
Yeah, well, to be fair, trolls are more your thing in Skyrim. But actually, trolls are kind of everyone's thing in Skyrim. Those things are kind of nasty. But no, back to Anthem. Like the Anthem, the aesthetics is, I mean, it's beautiful. The like I said, the snippet of the story that I've heard, it sounds really cool. It's very, very, I want to say supernatural, like shamanistic way. Just again, this is from very limited knowledge. Just simply because the basis around the concept of an anthem, of a song of life and everything. I kind of associate that with like the shamanistic concepts of natural medicine and that kind of concept of singing to the spirits and communing with the spirits in that way. I think that's really cool. I think that's an awesome concept. But then I get back to reality is just I don't have the time. I just don't have time to invest in it. So I've kind of turned off, especially with games like Cyberpunk coming around the corner. We have rumors of Beyond Good and Evil 2. I mean, like there's these games that I have been waiting for years to get a handle on. And it's like, and with Destiny kind of re-emerging, in my interest as well, I just have to pick and choose. And sadly, Anthem just didn't make the cut. I mean, it's like Division. I just don't have any interest in it. But Beard, now that Shadow has finished voicing her opinion.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's apparently had enough VAs and anyway. I come from the different side of things, I suppose, not just from the I don't have time for it, because at this point I really don't either. But it does come down to another piece of it, and that is looking at what BioWare has kind of done, or not necessarily BioWare, but also what EA has also done to the community as a whole, that seems to be trying to help the game along and to help it like flourish, and like all the goodwill and nature that has been presented with the title and who has been working on it and so on. And it's just I can't look at it and not think that it's, if you want to censor this, you can. That's just a big FU. The stuff that they have done to the player base as a whole, and releasing it in the nature that they did is insulting. And I really do hope that they get something together to make it better than what it is at the moment, because it deserves it. It is not to say that the world is terrible or anything else, but I think that it promisingly deserves it. And I say that for people mostly because I know what I went through with Destiny and what most of us have kind of gone through with Destiny, with how it was something that was really like tough to say that it was something that was good originally, that there were a lot of problems that kind of fit the bill with how Destiny was portrayed and started. So we've been there. Like that's the whole thing. We've been there. And when I see that people have issues with the general presentation or general story pieces or gameplay pieces of Anthem as a whole, I can't look at them and go, well, brother, let me tell you how you can get over these issues that you're feeling, because I've been there. And in addition, like, I end up sitting back and I think on not even what had happened with me in Destiny, but also what happened with me and World of Warcraft. The idea of a WoW killer has been something that is old. It is tired. It is stupid. And by the end of the day, the only thing that has pretty well killed WoW has been World of Warcraft itself, has been Blizzard.
I was about to say, it's been WoW.
WoW is its own problem.
WoW is its own problem.
It's the same as any of them. I would argue that. It's like... I'm going to double down with that, Beard, because I think that's also doing a disservice to the whole game industry as a whole.
Yeah.
Like, if you go into a situation saying your only goal is to kill, your competition, I mean...
And to be fair, I do not think any of the franchises are going in with that in mind.
That is fair.
I'm going to say yes, they did with Anthem. Because almost all of the marketing that they had was, we are basically going after Bungie in its entirety. Anything that they showcased was basically saying, this is what Bungie had done, we're going to show you how we can do it better. Oh, this is a map in Destiny, this is a map in Anthem.
Most the thing is the game that doesn't have really any PvP aspects or anything.
But they didn't care about that. Like, that's the whole inkling in that respect.
Well, and to be fair to Beard, that is kind of one of the things they compared it to, was because they were like, yeah, PvP's we're not doing PvP because we saw how broken it was. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, Beard does have kind of a point on that one. Like, I do remember that conversation being... I don't know. I also do see a difference between producers and the devs who are working on it.
Correct. Sure. Because there's some really great story. The music's actually really good. I think the art was done very well.
I think the art. Oh my gosh, the art is amazing. The concept, of course, concept art's always. I think concept art's always amazing.
Well, not even just the concept art. Flying around in Anthem is gorgeous.
Is it?
It's it's really pretty just to fly around the world, because there's actually free play where you can just kind of go everywhere, and it's a really pretty, well developed, well rendered, and you don't have to, like, loading screens or anything like that. You can fly anywhere. And the draws, it's actually really well done. And I think the devs did a really good job. Like, the ones who are working on art, the ones who are working on with the Frostbite engine itself.
Which was a complete and utter travesty in and of itself.
Right. I understand.
Oh, God.
But I think a lot of the devs that were working on their thing, just like devs in a lot of other games, it is a labor of love, and they did a great job with what they had to work with. The writers, it just never was completed to the extent of the idea. They had a big idea. They only completed part of it, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could tell what portions of the game were worked on very well, or had, like, a decent amount of, like, engagement behind them in development. It was pretty obvious in that respect. But yeah, I could honestly carry on my feelings with the ideas of the politics behind the game all day. Because quite frankly, I think what happened with the guys with BioWare, and granted, some of the people at BioWare are just as much at fault for it. What had happened to them as a whole was a general travesty. And I kind of feel bad for any of those that are involved in the project that have a heart and have care for it, because I don't blame any of them. But there has to be... You cannot make a game that presents itself in that regard and then falls back on needing to fix bugs to this extent and then push back its new content nearly indefinitely and not have something go on with the studio. I'm sorry. Yeah. You've got something that's going on wrong at the top, and whether that's EA or BioWare, something needs fixing. So to those that are just like the grunts that are working, I seriously give you all credit for what it is you did. I love what the game looks like. I love how it looks. Mm-hmm. I also absolutely loved how the flying mechanics and everything
fell I enjoy in that
place. Too. Like the general gameplay is fantastic. I think it's the same thing that I had said with Destiny 2. I think D2 had a fantastic base that it started with, and then it progressively kind of worked itself out and got better. But having that really stable base is what helped it, and then knowing where you were going to go is the important part of it. And for BioWare, just as much as what we had here with Destiny 2 and with Bungie, and then Anthem with BioWare, this is different for them. This is them creating like a persistent world. And granted, we've seen some things with like the Old Republic and whatnot that they had a persistent world MMO. Why they didn't develop further into that or figure out where they screwed up with that, because there were parts they definitely did, that would have been the easy thing for them to kind of like figure out. But obviously, of course, one game's development is not the same as another's. Mm-hmm. And that's where, you
get into studios and get into publishers and stuff like that. And it's a lot of disservice to the game developers themselves because of the schedules that they're being forced to keep to.
Yeah. Now, ultimately, I think it comes down to the players got screwed, the developers got screwed, and I really feel bad for anybody that kind of got like highly involved with it. And I know that there are people out there that absolutely enjoy the game. Props on you. But there are fundamental flaws with this title that you have to understand exist. And I am saying this as somebody, as a Destiny 2 player, that understood and understands there are fundamental flaws with the game that still need addressing. Mm-hmm. There is no problems in calling out those points. There is no problems in saying to the developer, this needs to be fixed. Stand up for the thing you care for, because it's exactly what we did with Destiny, and that's what led to Forsaken.
And moving on into the lore section of our episode.
Yeah, otherwise I'm going to keep going.
It's okay. I mean, it's a big part of what's happening with this game currently. I think it's an important thing to talk about, because the gaming industry in general is having this weird issue that they're going through. So I'm glad we talked about it. I know it's not exactly what a lot of our listeners were necessarily coming in for the very first section of this. Mm-hmm. Maybe a timestamp would be prudent for those of you who may want to skip ahead to the actual lore section. That's fine. I'm sure Blue will have that kind of going for you. But to get into Anthem and the story of Anthem has kind of the same problem that D1 did. D1 had a fantastic story that no one knew about. Anthem also has this problem.
At least it had a longer campaign.
Yeah.
Anthem at least had like that going for it in a lot of rights. Yeah. Like the campaign's much longer than
and there's some really good twist, and you're immersed into it differently than in D1, because D1 it's a little bit different setup, but the basic world of Anthem, it is a wild area, a wild environment where there's jungle everywhere, and there are a few settlements/cities that have coalesced where humanity stands, because the wilderness has all these creatures and events and colossus and everything that are going to be out there that will eat your face or shock you to death or poison you or other things. So humanities are kind of squished into these little pockets. Hashtag. And the reason why Anthem is because of the concept of the Anthem of Creation, which Blue talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. And the Anthem is the source of pure creation itself. And it's the Shapers, which are a group or entity or group of entities that used the Anthem to create the world. So Anthem is the energy / source of creation, and the Shapers are essentially the artist in some respects that molded the world and created it. The Anthem has existed since the beginning of time and permeates all aspects of his existence. The Anthem has been the subject of much debate over its origin, limits, and if humans should attempt to channel it. Some believe it is nothing more than story and myth, which this is all an excerpt from the game itself, from the Anthem of Creation card that you can get in-game. So the Anthem is a power source that you can actually tap into, and that multiple characters throughout the game do tap into, or at least can harmonize-ish with. Am I staying coherent for everyone so far? Mm-hmm. Students, are you okay?
I mean, I get it. I'm a warlock.
Okay, yep. Good. Yay, the hunter gets it too. So there's other things in game.
Maybe he's not just picking his nails.
I mean, he's playing something. So I mean, he's at least here,
That's
right?
Fair.
That's very rude of you.
I mean, I'm a hunter too.
It's also accurate, but it's also very rude.
It's okay. But going back to kind of the Anthem creation, I'm going to be jumping around a little bit, but throughout the world, there are things called Shaper relics. And these are instruments that were left behind by the Shapers when they abandoned the world, because they created the world, the Shapers did, and then after the world was made, they left. And Shaper relics have the ability to modify natural fauna and flora, which is something that comes up a little bit later. They also have the ability to play with space and time, and some relics, when you use them, they will disappear when they're silenced. Some don't. Some reappear after years or hours. They're kind of these fluid, time-gatey type things. They're not time gates where you can go through, but they're these power sources that pop in and out of existence. Fun thing that some of the Shaper relics, their imagery, they don't all look the same, which is kind of nice. Mm-hmm. But there are things where you use lost echoes. You use echoes of Anthem to help silence them. They look like speakers. It's kind of cool.
When you say speakers, is his mask broken? Sorry, I had to.
I'm going to start sounding like the grizzly bear all of a sudden.
I mean, look, you say the speaker. I'm not bringing him up.
I mean, like, you take the little fabric off the front of your car speaker, or the little thing off the speaker, and the little wavy foam I don't even remember what they're made out of. It's been too long since I've taken that class, but it looks like the speaker body itself. So I talked about how...
Marty, don't turn that up to 11. That's a bad idea.
Mean, it's really kind of cool because you can see the sound vibrations when it's actually running. It's, I don't know. I'm such a music geek that when I saw speakers in the game, I was like, I'm good. I'm good for a while. This will keep me entertained for a bit. But I mentioned how they can change fauna and flora.
Yeah.
There are creatures that were formed at the dawn of creation called the Anzu that were kind of affected by the Shapers and everything else. Then there is a Shaper ruin that destroyed the city of Freemark, which is important to your character in the story.
Right.
And it produced the Heart of Rage Cataclysm, right. Which cataclysms are super important because it is essentially a unpredictable disturbance that was created when the Anthem creation overwhelms a Shaper instrument. So when the sound waves are turned up to 11, you get a cataclysm. Mm-hmm. So the one in Freemark, you see at the very opening of the game, your character is part of that. You see the Heart of Rage and everything going on. The cataclysms, they appear as an intense storm a lot of the times. While one cataclysm may create bizarre new wildlife, another may shake the ground or force rivers to flow backwards. The only certain thing about a cataclysm is that it cannot be predicted. So Heart of Rage is the one I talked about. It's the one that you see in the opening scenes. It's the one where you kind of have this breaking apart of the characters that you eventually kind of reconnect, at least with one of them. Later on, see here, going into, as far as world goes, like general history of where we're going to get into, because there's so many factions, there's locations, there's creatures, there's so many different things in the game because it's a full fleshed out world. But as far as like the history of the Cataclysm and the Anthem itself, there are people who are studying the Anthem. There are people who are trying to figure out how to utilize the Anthem. No one really has a good grasp on it. So, because it's the shaping of reality and the creation force, they're not going to be a good grasp on it. There are people who are going to try to do it, use it, and make it work for them, but it doesn't really turn out the way they want it to. So we don't have a ton of information on it itself. I'm hoping that we get more because I think that is the most fascinating part. So I'm going to move on to factions unless either of you have questions that I can possibly address with those first couple sections. Lou or Beard?
Not
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
Cool. So
following the basics.
Yep, we're going real basic with this one because there's still, I don't want to give any story spoilers. Oh, poor Shadow.
Yeah, I should mute that, shouldn't I?
You just hear Shadow in the background. Oh, rough.
She is fine. For the record, she is fine.
She's just having an asthma attack.
She just suffers from allergies like the rest of us. That's all.
Give her an extra treat for me.
Okay.
So we get into the factions that you'll see throughout the world. There are enemy factions. You have the Scars, you have the Dominion, you have Urgoth, you have Outlaws, and those are pretty much the main ones that you see. The Dominion are an expansionist military regime from Stralhelm that destroyed the city of Freemark when they attempted to control the Cenotaph, which was what created the Heart of Rage. So the Cenotaph is the Shaper relic that they were trying to get control of. When they activated it and tried to use it, it overwhelmed that Shaper relic with the Anthem and created the Heart of Rage, which is the major cataclysm that happens. There are some major characters within the Dominion that cause issues. Dr. Harkin, who is the one who led the charge to seize control of the Cenotaph, and the Monitor, which Monitors are an operative, they're rare, who is both a Lancer and a Cipher, and I'm going to get into that in a second. Monitors undergo special training to make them near omniscient secret police. The Dominion engage in numerous biological experiments inspired by their belief that they are meant to harness the Anthem of Creation's power. So they're going to try to use it as much as possible, which is why they're kind of our main enemy faction in some ways.
Right.
Furies are among the most visible and destructive results, which Furies are one of the creatures that you sometimes come up against, and they're not fun at all. But the Monitors, I mentioned the Lancer and the Cipher. The Lancers are the ones who use the suits. So you see the image of the guy in the kind of the mech-ish suit. That is a Lancer. They're the ones who fly it. They're the pilots. The Cipher are they're kind of psychically connected to Anthem itself. They're sensitive to it, is what is said in the game. So they're the ones who can sense when something is truly wrong, and they can kind of feel where the Anthem is stronger and where it's not. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of story about Ciphers being trained beyond normal, and they were kind of enslaved because of their psychic ability. Not a fun story to go into, but I think we're going to touch on it a little bit when I get to ciphers in general. But Lancers are the ones who pilot, ciphers are the ones who help the Lancers. So they're kind of generally in pairs. You have pilot and cipher. Cipher sit in a matrix-like chair and help them with it from afar. I mentioned the Urgos. Urgos are a type of creature that used to enslave humanity. They are kind of... The nearest thing I can think of is they remind me of the Bullywogs from Borderlands. They're kind of a muscular ape-like creature.
Mm-hmm.
They're not exactly that, but that's what it reminds me of. And
Very
they were
similar.
Yeah, they were defeated by the Legion of Dawn, which is a important group of individuals. They're kind of the Iron Lords of Anthem, their version of it. And then we have outlaws, which outlaws are an unfortunate group of people. They are hardened, violent criminals who were cast out of society because they threaten public safety and security. So they're essentially kicked out of the wall. So once they're exiled and kicked out of the city, because remember, humanity's in these little pockets, they have to survive in the wild. And it's not an easy thing to do. And when they do that, there's a lot of bad things that can happen to them. They can get essentially really feral, I guess is the way to put it. Think of mob bosses, but feral like Rugrats. Weird comparison, but go with it. They have crime syndicates and stuff like that, and you end up actually working with a few outlaws in the game to further your own cause, but they are not generally savory types. The practice of kicking people out of the city and exiling them seems to be in debate a lot of the time. There's people who think that it causes more problems instead of handling it within the city. You send them out, you create more outlaws, you create a bigger problem outside of the city, which freelancers and the sentries have to go after and fix. Then we get into the Scars, which Scars are probably the most fascinating enemy race I think that they have. The Scars they're a colonial swarm of insects that mimic the dominant life form in the area. So you can have Scars of different types. Scars first appeared from a cataclysm in 413 LV, which, remember how I said cataclysms can change things dramatically, whether it's like weather patterns or river directions and stuff like that. This is where Scars come from, is from a cataclysm. At the time, freelancers defeated a large, vicious creature none of them recognized. Later, unknown to freelancers, the Scars regroup and changed their mimicry to appear human. So literally, you are fighting replicators in some respects, or Siva in some respects.
Oh, good, because I totally wanted Stargate in this.
You're right. Ah! It's a little intense. They're bugs, though, so
that's totally the replicators, and they can just go take a long walk off a short pier.
Right?
Yep.
So it's really scary to think about. What's even worse is there's something called the Ascari, because Scars are still hive mind based.
Sure.
Ascaris actually have a little bit more free will. They're sentient manifestations of a Scar swarm. Once a swarm reaches a critical mass through consumption, so once it gains enough power, it becomes capable of speech and intellect, and intelligent thought, and it also gains unique thoughts and ambitions that are thought to lead Scar power struggles. So there's factions within the Scars, but most of the time the Scars are just very instinct-based. They come after you with weapons just like a human does. They look like humans when they come at you. It's just a little bit funky armor. But the Ascari actually have plans and whatnot and have gained sentient life because they've consumed enough. And it's a terrifying and fascinating group. and enemies. So there's also, as far as enemies go, I'm not getting into any of the natural creatures. There's obviously the Colossus, which if you're going through the world and you run into one of them solo and you're under level, run away. Just run away. Think, now I'm blanking on the anime.
Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan, thank you.
Welcome.
Think of that.
Blue to even know that one. Come on, Green.
I mean,
hey now.
You can't see it, but I'm just shrugging.
That's a dig at both of you. You see how good that one was?
Yeah, you're getting pretty good at this. The Colossus are kind of pains in the butts because a lot of them, they have fire attacks that are both area of effect seeking and just flat out annoying. They'll send out little, like, creature-esque things after you. They'll send out this homing missiles. They'll send out bursts of fire in all directions. They're a pain. You can take them out if you have a team or if you're significantly powered enough or have enough ability or patience. Patience is a virtue with these guys too. When cataclysms happen, a lot of times Colossus tend to appear, or at least coalesce in the area. In the opening cutscene, you see Colossus show up, and it becomes quite the problem. There's also various things like scorpions that'll show up. There's other like creatures that you have to fight up against that are not as prominent as far as a faction or a group, but they're there. Ally factions, though, when you're in the city, you'll get to see all these different ones, or at least interact with them. And there's a few different groups. There's the Arcanist, Corvus, Ciphers, Engineers, Freelancers, Regulators, and Sentinels. And a lot of these different factions you can gain reputation points with by doing different missions and different retrieval type things for them. Arcanists are your scientists, researchers, and the scholars who study the mysteries of the world. The main one that you deal with is the one that you got to, if you play the beta, is the one you got to see, which was Matthias. Matthias is kind of an interesting character who grew up on the streets, has to go through a lot of things to get through to where he's at. Then you have Corvus, which Corvus is a corporation type group that controls a lot of things within the world. They also are responsible for developing certain javelins, or a certain javelin compared to others. And your main contact with them is Tassin, which you meet fairly early on in the campaign. She is your liaison between the Corvus Corporation, and yourself as a freelancer. Ciphers, we kind of talked about. They have the psychic connection and are sensitive to the Anthem of creation and are often paired with javelin pilots via amplifier. Fun fact, many are thought to be a little loose in the heads, according to Owen, who is your personal cipher throughout most of the game. Ciphers were initially used for covert purposes by Corvus, but through their own revolution, they were able to expand their rights and freedom to choose how they used their abilities. So Corvus was the one who, once they discovered that these people were sensitive to the Anthem, they really wanted them to develop their powers so Corvus could use them to acquire more information and power, because they were supposed to be spies, essentially. And they tend to sit in these amplifiers, which look like the chair from either Assassin's Creed or Matrix-esque.
Oh, the Animus.
It kind of looks like, at least Animus, like Animus 1. It really is similar to that in its look. There are two characters that you deal with the ciphers are Owen and Faye. Faye is technically the one you meet first. She is in the original cutscene with the Heart of Rage, but she is not your cipher. Your cipher is Owen through most of the game, and Owen is this really annoying character. I kind of want to punch him half the time, but I also feel sorry for him. He's got a lot of self-esteem issues. He's just a little obnoxious guy. They both are really intelligent people, but they're also both very wishy-washy.
So they're dumbly intelligent?
They're like, I want to say they're like warlocks, but I'm going to get shot down for that. Being a little loose in the head.
In what way?
Not gonna go in just the loose in the head thing. No, I think warlocks are more like your arcanist. To be honest, anyway. It's just I don't know how to continue this without getting into a Destiny fight, and I want to keep on Anthem as much as possible.
I'm not helping anything, am I?
It's, you're giving me somebody to bounce back and forth between instead of just reading all my notes, which is great. I don't mind that. It breaks it up a little bit. Getting back into the factions, though, we got the engineers. Engineers are exactly what they sound like. Skilled mechanics, artisans, architects, and smiths who build, maintain, and repair bastions, which is a city infrastructure. There are two main groups, the architects who design things and the mechanics who build them. Very straightforward. There's one engineer that you deal with primarily. She's the first person you really meet when you get into the city. I can't remember her name at the moment, unfortunately, though. Then we get into the freelancers themselves. Freelancers are independent lancers, which makes sense. They are freelancers, so they're the pilots of these little mech suits. Freelancers who choose to follow General Tarsus, which is an important character in the past, and the Path of Valor, which is another thing that General Tarsus created. They silence cataclysms and aid those in need beyond the safety of the walls, aka they are Robin Hood in some respects. Freelancers act without direct orders from any central organizations. I can't do Lancers because it too many syllables. We're Lancers in suits. Yeah, it doesn't really work.
No, it doesn't.
I tried.
I mean, we tried. We did really good.
Yeah.
I think we're just going to call this Anthem the musical from now on.
I don't want to sing the whole thing.
All right. I mean, you're the musician, though.
Yeah, but so are you.
Shh. Nobody needs to hear that.
Beard plays saxophone. Now you know. Freelancers act without direct orders from any central organization. Though there is no official code, even though a lot of them follow the Path of Valor, the modern perception of freelancer values are attributed to Dalathes, the Freelancers 3. And freelancers are kind of like Robin Hood. Their popularity kind of wanes a little bit after the Heart of Rage and the Free Mark disaster. And their failure to silence the Heart of Rage, many people don't trust freelancers and now look to a different faction. They look to the Sentinels for protection. Your main freelancer contact within the game is one of the original people that was at Free Mark with you, who is Haluk, who runs a Colossus. Beyond that, freelancers, you'll have a few different interactions with them. Anybody you run into in the wild, all the people that you're doing all your missions with, they're all freelancers. They're just independent. They are your people who will go out and take contracts, your bounty hunters per se. Regulators, which is an interesting group of criminals. I mentioned the outlaws. Regulators are, I put them as ally factions. They're kind of allies, they're kind of not. You generally don't fight against them, but it is an organized criminal group that deals in smuggling, gambling, theft, extortion, and other illegal activity. While not ruthless as outlaws, the regulators are still dangerous and operate outside city or civil society while manipulating others for profit. The recent closings of Strider Locks and Downturn, or Striders, locks and downturns in the safety of roads have limited legal trade and made the regulators rich. So it mentions striders. Striders are essentially, is it AT-ATs that have the 2 or the 4 feet?
Yes.
Striders are AT-ATs. They are giant 4-legged striders that go across the land that allow you to traverse through everything, because there's a lot of dense jungle growth and rivers and mountains to go through, and there are roads that these guys will travel through. They've shut down a lot of them in game because of the Heart of Rage and other Colossus and Cataclysms going on, but it was a means of travel that was safe for people who did not have javelins. But the main contact that you have with the regulators, going back to that, the group of organized crime syndicate, is Princess Zim, who makes you eat the heart of a gross creature, and it is a very Indiana Jones moment when you have to do that to gain her trust, to gain also Halleck's trust back.
Kalima!
It's disgusting, and apparently it smells real bad, and it's just like, and you kind of pass out after eating it. It's just a really gross scene. I am very weak stomached. It's not a good thing. Me thinking about it right now is even making me a little bit like, oof. She's an interesting one, though.
I'm just over here like Kalima, that's all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you also run from a boulder shortly afterward?
You don't.
Movie.
Nope, you don't. You do. I think you get back into the Strider right after that and go back to the main town. There's one last group as far as allies go, and those are Sentinels. And Sentinels are kind of like the policing group. Sure. They're the ones who are employed by the Emperor, or they protect people in Anthem, which is the name of the entire world, is Anthem. They protect him on behalf of the Emperor. They're peacekeepers. They wear javelins. A lot of them do when they're on duty. You'll see them walking around the city. Sentinel and freelancer relations are typically not encouraged. The freelancer's lack of rule following leads to tense situations. So they view freelancers as kind of wild cards. Sentinels are your rule followers. The main connection you have with the Sentinels is Bryn, who gets really verklempt half the time and nervous about talking to you, even as a character. And she is unsure how to handle your newfound friendship / business partnership, because she basically employs you part of the time to do some of the things that she was kind of sort of supposed to do. And then her Commander Vul, does not approve of your guys' working relationship, but it has proven fruitful, apparently. So we get to the javelins themselves. There are technically 5 different javelins. Mm-hmm. 4 that you can play in game, at least the majority of the game. You have the Ranger, the Colossus, Storm, and Interceptor. 4 very different play styles for all of these. Ranger is your most user-friendly one. You're the one that's easiest to get used to. It's the one that I play primarily. It is your frontline fighter, and the quote in-game is commonly used for frontline fighting. This reliable javelin has well-rounded offense and defensive capabilities due to an even balance of armor and speed. The Ranger's propulsion pack can launch quick airstrikes on unsuspecting foes, as well as navigating challenging terrain during exploration. Rangers are Pharah from Overwatch.
Yeah, basically.
They have the same type of attack where you have a volley that you send out. Beyond that, it's just a mech suit. They're not super fast. They're not super slow. They're just kind of your good Soldier 76 or Pharah type character from Overwatch. The Colossus are your tank characters. They're heavily armored javelins that is a cornerstone of the human society, and it's kind of a successor to the Javelin of Dawn, which is the 5th kind of javelin that is out there. Colossus are the most user-friendly as far as within society. They're used for industrial work, deep-sea diving, and heavy transport. They're slower than other models, but they can withstand a ton of punishment, and they're the ones who will have the giant shield and can push forward in masses of people. I don't like playing them. They're too slow for my play style. I like to move around a little bit more on the battlefield. You really have to be somebody who can make a stand in one spot and slowly, very slowly move forward, because you're not going anywhere fast with the Colossus. They can take a ton of damage, but you're not going to be moving very quick with these guys. The Storms. Storms are kind of your warlock characters. The Storm is the latest javelin,
kind of.
Yeah, they're the ripoff of the warlocks.
They're basically Stormcallers with an ice element, which I really would like to have.
In Destiny, Bungie, please.
Yeah. Problem is, it doesn't necessarily fit the bill of what they're going for. Otherwise, I'd really like to have it anyway. Yeah, no, Storm's like the one thing that I've had a chance to play with, and I will say that their powers are amazing.
They are a lot of fun.
And the fact that they actually are like lightly linked up, I don't know if they were going for this, but like how a Void Warlock has this like connection, so to speak, to like the Hive, or is like mistaken so much for like Hive magics. The Storm being utilized with like the same technologies as the Dominion and being basically born from the Dominion. It just fascinates me with what they did with it. Obviously, I at least like the Storm.
Yeah.
They're great frames. They're amazing little javelins. I know they
float.
very yes.
All the
time. That's actually the thing that I love about them, because you can legitimately float around the entire arena, and it barely takes away most of your boost gauge. It's great. It is great. But now the fact that that the javelins are, I think they're actually one of the more newer ones, I believe, between them and the
Interceptor.
And the Interceptor. Yeah, both of them are actually considered very new.
Yep.
To what the freelancers have been able to use at this point.
And you were right. The Storm was created by Dominions. It's, I believe, also the Monitor uses a weird bastardized version of a Storm.
Yeah, the pieces that it kind of looked like, that's what I got the inkling of as well. It seemed like a very large combination between a Storm and maybe a Colossus or whatever the Dominion
a Ranger
would use. Similar, yeah. I would almost say more Colossus. I don't know. It has that larger.
It is.
Well, if you mean the small, yeah, the okay, yeah. Before I get into spoilers at all,
right?
No, then absolutely, I would say that.
And then the very last one. So Storm, you talked about how it has ice and able to float above combat. For its light armor, it's a little bit squishier, but don't the Storm, and this is one I haven't played that much, don't they have like a little shielding effect that they can do? Am I just still stuck on Borderlands? I think
the Ranger also has a Halo-esque shield effect that it can also place. The Storms have something that is similar to that. They often play as more of a support character. But then, yeah, they traditionally do not rely on shields. They rely more on, I'm going to say they can blink, they can hover, they can propel themselves through air in terms of jet mechanics a little bit better. they're the ones that traditionally will rely more on their powers than anything else, than they will on like their connections to defenses, I guess, as a whole. Like they don't really. Storms haven't at least shown to me that they rely or think about defense too much. It's actually more like offensive wizards.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it. They're very wizard-esque, not warlock-esque, but very wizard-esque. They have a few tricks that they can use really well. Interceptors are the last of the 4 primary javelins that you can use. They are created by Corvus, and they are a scout-type suit that are meant for exploration and diplomatic missions. They are fast as all get out and make me sick when I play them. I cannot because they are too quick.
You and me both.
The Interceptor is known to be the most agile and acrobatic javelin. A lancer confined. Lightning fast, close-range attacks combined with specialized weaponry will thrill lancers who crave speed on the battlefield. Interceptors are essentially Tracer. They are Tracer / the fastest character you can think of as far as getting up in your face and punching you and slicing at you and stuff like that.
They're like Sonic.
No. Nothing is like that Sonic.
I didn't say that Sonic. I just said Sonic.
I'm really
Why
glad.
You gotta go to that Sonic right away,
I mean,
huh?
they're changing that Sonic, which is thank God.
Which is wonderful.
The internet did something right.
Yeah, it only took like a day to say that no, we don't like this. Anyway, completely off topic again. But no, they absolutely are like Sonic. They gotta go fast. Green.
I mean, we got see how many references we can pack into this Anthem episode because we've gotten quite a few in here so far.
Don't challenge me. Don't you do it. I will make it happen.
We have only a little bit left. I've got the Javelin of Dawn, the basic information on javelins, and then the locations, and then we are through the tutorial of Anthem because I'm not going into any of the spoilers of any of the missions. I'm not going to go into too much of any of the characters because it'll spoil a lot of things. I'm just giving you the bare bones of because this game has only been out 3 months, not even. It came out in February, the end of February, so it is still a very new game, and I do not want to spoil it. I know it's 2 months in, but there are people who still haven't played it. If you plan on playing it, you're going to get just your basic information here for it.
I mean, the only other thing, and I still do debate that it'll end up being some fair spoiler territory, is like the Legion of Dawn as well.
A little bit, yeah.
Granted, it's a lot of like the past stuff and like why you do what you do in Anthem, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that I think reading that information is like paramount because that's where you get a lot of your interpretive material.
Yes.
Is from the Legion of Dawn information, like big time.
And we're going to kind of get into that a little bit right now, because the Legion of Dawn is the history, like you said, of javelins in general.
Yeah, and I have to be honest, super interesting.
Yeah.
I actually had a chance to read over a good majority of it. I didn't get like too in depth, like I started writing notes like I do for Destiny, but like I was reading over and I was like, this is kind of fascinating. Like I really like what they did here, and it's obvious they put in a lot of care for it. So that's why I think like knowing the background or the basis here is important. But yeah, whatever you want to dig into for the Legion, I wanted to stress, like, as somebody that's made it apparent that I think that Anthem's got some things it's got to work on. I think that's a pretty good start for like what it is that they could have with the game itself. I think it's great.
I do too, and actually I do want to get into it just a little bit. So the Legion of Dawn member who created and like invented and built the very first javelin was Arden Vasa, and the information about that is mainly in that card called Arden Vasa. And javelins are among the most advanced technology humanity has access to. Because of the presence of Shaper artifacts, this allowed humans to fashion the exosuits even while the rest of their technology lagged behind. So when these javelins were first created, humanity was not very technologically advanced, but because they were able to utilize essentially the powers of creation itself a little bit with the Shaper artifacts, they were able to create their first suits. And the very first type of javelin was called the Javelin of Dawn. Mm-hmm. One of these suits was given to every member of the Legion of Dawn, and the Javelin of Dawn served as the precursor to the Colossus. So they're they're a very large mech type suit. Mm-hmm. Current day javelins, now I'm going to dip away from the Legion story a little bit. Current day javelins are constructed from various parts that have been cobbled together by freelancers or handcrafted by arcanists. The knowledge of how to build javelins has been passed down from generation to generation in a tradition spanning centuries. Javelins are still incredibly rare. There's not many of them out there, or they're just incredibly expensive to make because their pieces are not easy to make.
Yeah, where have I heard that before? Ghosts.
I don't know, Beard. Where?
Ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's okay. Every javelin is precious. And every loss of a javelin... Never mind. I'm just not going to keep going.
It still fits and it still works. Mm-hmm. Oh, I just made myself sad.
Goodness. God. So there are 3 different groups that can use javelins in the game currently. Dominion and Sentinels and Freelancers. Dominion, remember, are one of the enemy factions. Sentinels are the police force that use them, and obviously freelancers like yourself use them as well. The Javelin of Dawn, like I said, was the very first type of javelin ever constructed as the precursor to the Colossus, designed by Arden Vasa. One was given to every member of the Legion of Dawn. This is all like recapping a little bit because all of this is really important to the story that you get into. One of them was piloted by General Helena Tarsus, which, if you remember early, General Tarsus was a character I mentioned. And armed with special shields, she used the Javelin of Dawn to free humanity from the slavery to the Urgoth. After she died, the Javelin of Dawn was hidden away in the Fortress of Dawn, which is historically, I know it's slightly spoilery, but it's also historically kind of legendary type stuff for the game. Your character does go after trying to get the Javelin of Dawn in the main story mission. We're not going any further past that information because there's some major things that happen there, and I get real mad at a certain somebody, and I don't like them anymore.
Did you ever, though?
No, that's very true. I really didn't like them to begin with.
No.
But it just made it even easier to dislike.
Right.
When I read that, Beard, I may have gone to Cole and screamed at her for like a good 20 minutes. Like, what? Why didn't you tell me?
I mean, you kind of had rights to. I mean, that's where things get, I think, sort of iffy with the way that they sort of handled the
story,
the general ideas with the mainline story.
Yeah.
That's where like the lore of Anthem is incredibly fascinating to me, and like
it's
how
important at that part too.
Yeah, and like how they sort of culminated and made it work out. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed what they did with the lore. But as soon as I saw pieces from that main story, I was just like, oh, sure.
Right. I mean, a lot of the stuff that you do up until you get to that point in the story are basically side quest and get to know you type things.
Right.
Fascinating, some of them. especially the thing with Matthias from the beta that you get to revisit a little bit later. I think that storyline is a little fascinating, but I like split personalities, I guess. Locations in Anthem. I mentioned Antium. A little bit of correction. Antium is not the name of the world. I messed up on that one. Antium is the name of a human city and kingdom and the de facto capital of the world. It's not the entire world, it's just the capital. Sentinels serve as the city's main defensive force, and it is ruled by Emperor Valus Del. Freemark. It is the destroyed city that you see in the opening section. Freemark is an ancient and prosperous state. It was the site of the Battle of Freemark and later the Heart of Rage Cataclysm. The city was known to be the second most populated city in Bastion after Antium. Though one could contemplate the legendary sculpture, the Colossus of Tarsus, some of the early Legion architecture, and visit the colorful marketplaces and the Freelancer Wall. These are all kind of my notes. So there were lots of different things within Freemark that you could go and see. Lots of history, the Colossus of Tarsus, early Legion of Dawn architecture, and you could visit the marketplace and the Freelancer Wall. All of that's gone. Fort Tarsus. It is your primary city in the game. You spend a lot of time there. You get to know a lot of people there. It got its name from the Legion of Dawn leader, General Helena Tarsus. So remember the one who wore the Javelin of Dawn and led everybody with her shield and just kind of pushed back the Urgoth? That is Fort Tarsus. That is kind of the location that you get to spend so much time in. Luckily, there's a running function. It's not as fast as I want it to be. Heliost. Heliost is a location in the world also called the Engineer City. Heliost is a human settlement. The gates of Heliost have been occupied by Scar sometime before the Heart of Rage occurred. So there's the various locations in game have their own issues. Heliost has Scar problems. The next one we're going to talk about has a different kind of problem. Strawhelm, or Stralheim, is a location in the world. It is the seat of power of the Dominion, located in a mountainous region located north of Fort Tarsus. So there is rumor right now that we get to go there at some point. It is not in-game currently, but hopefully we'll get to go there. Thus concludes my basic tutorial of the world of Anthem. Blue Beard. I don't know how much further I want to go with this one without getting into spoiler territory. What would you like to do? General, feelings on the game?
Do you want to go into spoiler territory?
I really don't. If this game was a year old, yes, I would.
I mean, I kind of agree with Green to not go into too much spoilers. The reason is, in the instance and hope that BioWare EA can go ahead and shift things a little bit more to bring the best out of and what they were really looking to do with the title.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of people will otherwise jump into it. And I really think that they will enjoy themselves. I think that is at least to me, that's kind of like my philosophy on it at the moment. I don't know what y'all think, but
I think
that's my feeling.
Personal feelings about the game. I think the game is a lot of fun to play. I think there are parts of the game that are a little less easy to access than others. Personally, I'm still a fairly low-level character compared to some of my other clanmates who are quite a bit higher up. I still haven't gotten through all of the what are they called in game? Basically, the locations where you have to unlock the doors by doing a bunch of different tasks, and it's the Legion of Dawn quest. It's the main story quest. I have one gate to unlock, and I've just kind of got bored because basically you don't have any other missions to do in the game at the time. Your mission is to unlock all these gates. and you have to accomplish that by completing so many different tasks, whether it's getting combos with your grenade and your class ability, or so many multi-kills and stuff like that. I find that part really tedious, and that's why I haven't continued playing the game, frankly. The missions I enjoy, but doing the open world stuff to try to get into these to unlock the rest of the story, I kind of gave up after trying for about 4 hours to do. Granted, I'm sure I could look up a tutorial to do it, but it just wasn't intuitive. Personally, that's my only problem with it. I do like going into the game and flying around and shooting things, but I haven't been able to move the story too much further forward. But Beard, what's your kind of general feeling on it at this point?
I mean, I've already kind of given my 2 cents, I think, when all's said and done.
Flying was good.
Yeah, no, I think that's what I've said. Like the base of the title is great. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got to work on things more like progression and so on to really grab the audience attention a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
And there are several other like mechanic based things that I can say, but if I keep it strictly story, I think that it too kind of suffers from what Destiny runs into now and again. The main story has some issues and flaws, but the lore behind it and whatnot is so interesting to me that I want to continue to like know what happens with it. It's another world that I can easily see myself get lost into if certain things get fixed up and worked on.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, like the immersion, like I've had immersion problems with Destiny for a long time as well. Like from like early days of D1 through Taken King, I would probably say there are points where I'm like, yeah, the veneer is worn off at this point, that I now am focusing more on what is going on with the title,
right,
and what's happening around me, and I just can't do this anymore and allow for this to continue in the manner that it does. That's sort of where I'm at with it, I think, at the moment. But I know that there are those that very much enjoy it and like it, and to all of you, good. Absolutely good.
There is a structure there. It's not a complete base. I'm never going to say that Anthem is a complete like base of a game to build off of. There are some major things missing. There were some major things missing from the release date, even up to this date, even with the patches that we've had. Granted, the last patch that fixed you can finally see all the animations of loading into your mech.
Yeah.
That is nice. But the thing that I think Anthem can do, and I really hope EA manages to pull this off, or BioWare manages to pull this off, is to be able to pull in different kinds of missions. A lot of the missions feel very repetitive. Granted, it is a shooter. It is you fly into the world, you find some bad guys, you shoot the bad guys, you have a few waves of the bad guys, then you have a bigger bad guy. There are a few puzzles in the game. I enjoyed the puzzles. I enjoyed that part of the game a lot. There are a few different areas you go into. I think that's really neat. But I think that that Anthem lacks amount of diversity in what you're doing as far as how you interact with the game.
Also kind of lacks the diversity in terms of like how much there is in story right now.
Oh yeah, there's just not a whole lot there.
No, because I know that was the largest complaint from at least if we look at like what's publicly been said from both Mylan and
Bife.
From Bife, yeah. Goodness, why the heck couldn't I remember his name?
Mm-hmm.
Both of them have kind of said the same thing, that like they they need to see more from it, that there really isn't any kind of staying power for it in the long run.
No.
And it's the reason why I haven't really dug into it all that much. There were a lot of people in the lead up that were like, well, why aren't you covering this title? Like, it would be great for you. And, it's just a great title to springboard you into like a new era and whatnot for the channel, and like talking strictly business. I told them from the get-go, I have bad feelings about where this is going, because I knew the production series that was Destiny, and I knew what that got me when I trusted it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I ended up seeing that I was right, I didn't say anything. I didn't like bring it up and whatnot. But like, when there is no, like, again, from strictly business standpoint here, I'm not saying that the game is god awful. I still say that the player base got screwed and whatnot, and I stand behind that entirely. But for a strictly business channel covering standpoint, to know that I was kind of on the right track, that I would have probably covered the game for about a week or so, and that would have been it.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been a lot of time invested in something that would not have gotten me far at all. And that's just the shame of it. Like, I want people to enjoy their titles and games that they play and pick up and such. I think that there very much is the potential to do so with this title. But yeah, they just largely need to add on to it, I think, at this point. I think that's where I'll try to leave my thoughts at this point. Like I said, I can easily carry on.
Oh yeah.
How all of this went, and how it just feels like they should have just pushed it back another year. As terrible as that sounds.
Right. I don't think that's terrible at all. I think that if there's any lesson that we can take from, and granted, this is a game that got so much marketing help that helped push its launch. It's a lesson for consumers to be cautious about pre-ordering, and then for developers and publishers to, yes, you want to sell your product, but you don't want just that flash in the pan sell. You want to sell your product, and until consumers decide that they're not going to pre-order everything just because they see something shiny, I wish publishers would stop trying to trick the audience, because that's what it almost feels like at this point as far as politics goes.
Yeah.
I think that developers are being pushed very hard, and publishers are pushing things out very quickly. That being said, a different game that we just had a release kind of trailer or release day thing for, Borderlands 3, the devs that were talking about it said that they took their time to develop this game to make it to be what it wants. I'm still cautiously optimistic. I have not ordered the game. I am to the point now where I think I'm never going to pre-order ever again, and wait until it comes out to just make them put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah.
But I am excited about that game, and I think that there are things that they have made as quality of life changes that are really good. I want more people to take that approach. Granted, I know that games like Borderlands, if Half-Life 3 decided to come out at some point, people would lose their shit. I get that. And you would probably pre-order it without having any proof of concept. But you have to remember that publishers are going to take advantage of that mindset as much as possible. And unfortunately, this game feels to me like that was the case. That's my little political spiel. Do not pre-order. That is my personal feelings on that one. If you love the game, great. I'm glad you love the game. I think there's a lot of potential there. I think there was a lot of things that got pushed out a little too soon. I really want to see more freelancer stories. I think the stories with all the different faction groups, with the Sentinels, with Bryn, and with Matthias, and Owen and all the different groups are fascinating, but I want to know more freelancers, more than just Halleck. Halleck's story is interesting, but he's kind of curmudgeon-y.
Yeah.
But I want to know what happened to the rest of the freelancers, why there are so few out there, and what are they doing? Like, who else is around? There are other freelancers, we know that, but we don't know really any of them. And that's where I want to see them take the story. I want to see them develop that out a little bit more. Because right now, it's all hearsay.
Yeah.
But, Blue, do we want to go to shout outs?
Let's do it.
Okay. I'm going to make you two do shout outs first, and I'll go last this time. Haha. Blue, go first.
Fair.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm going first. The major shout out I have at the moment is just to anybody that's heading to Guardian Con, of course, in July. It's actually really not that far off. Like, we've got 2 months to go at this point. So watch it for your tickets, not just for the event, but of course for also flying out there if you haven't already. I know there are a lot more people than usual that are heading out there this time. I know that the community has also, again, kind of expanded, at least as far as like the inner, I don't want to say the inner circle, but the ones that you start to hear of more and more, or the familiar faces and such, there's starting to be more of them, which is, I think, really great. It just says something to the community as a whole that it's becoming more tight-knit. And then even then, there are more people that are joining it. It feels daily.
Yeah.
I keep hearing the doom and gloom of Destiny's dying, and I'm sure it's not as popular as it used to be, because no, it certainly hasn't been. But the general idea of more people playing, I know like 4 or 5 people that just started to play the game. Like, I don't know what else to tell you, but the game's not doing terribly. The game's also not meant to be like this, and I would say this even for talking about Anthem or Borderlands or anything like that as well, with them having their new one coming up. The game is not meant as this like extreme hardcore grind unless you want it to be. Like, there are elements that you can take from it to sit back and enjoy yourself. And I mean, I like to do the forges every week, and I do some Gambit now and again. I do some stuff in Dreaming City. I do strikes, and that's about what I do for the week. And I'm sitting at 700 light at this point. I am max potential, and I am good to go. I have done every single quest that I can at this point, minus like a couple on PC. But just largely, I've just been taking my time, enjoying it, so on, and that's where I want my style of play to be. Those that I think that are kind of pounding on these games the way that they do are looking, and Monster Hunter World is another, I think, good one for this fair example too. They are titles that ask a lot of your investment in time, but that time doesn't have to be given like right away. There are very few things that I can think of in a lot of those games, and granted, I guess Destiny as a whole has sort of added a few extra on with like the invitations and the queen visits and everything. But very few things like ask you to do them immediately, where you can take your time and just kind of enjoy them. That's why I continue to play Destiny as much as I do, I think. Why I'm kind of engrossed in the world, beyond just reading the lore and having 6 notebooks full of notes. It's completely devoid of the point. Anyway, to those in the community, I can't wait to see you or Guardian Con if you're going. To those that are new, old, whatever, I think it's great that we're all kind of like getting a little bit closer as a family, or just growing more and more together as time goes by. I think it's just I think it's awesome. That's all I've got.
Blue.
I'm gonna just give a big shout out. We got a lot of episodes coming at you guys for this next week. So really big appreciation for everyone who's sticking with the podcast and enjoying it. I'm hoping to, by the time you're listening to this on the audio, I'm hoping that the interview the Let's Chat with John Goff that we did last night or the night before last will be live. It's a long one, so I have been trying to make sure that it sounds good.
It was super fun.
It was hilarious, and I will also put a disclaimer on it that this is not for small children. John has a way with words. Let's just put it that way. And it was fun.
I would say that, like, not to like ruin it too much, but him and I got into it a few times.
Well,
funny.
It was hilarious when there's like I've been editing it for the last like day or so every evening, where I can. And I've been messaging Beard and Green both, just like I've just been dying. I've never enjoyed editing something so much. It's been absolute blast editing it because it's just so funny. So I'm really looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts and opinions on it to not beat that dead horse a little bit too much. But then on top of that, with the top 3, I've been really excited to see how well the top 3 has done. I'm hoping actually that we maybe can start doing Let's Chats a little bit more because I've been having a lot of fun with them. And they're just really relaxed, and they kind of give us a way to get more into kind of like what we're doing with the top 3, kind of get to know us and just kind of hear our kind of relaxed, our relaxed things going on. So I'm going to try to...
We do have one scheduled, hopefully, that'll happen
we
in
do.
a week or so.
May is going to be a busy month for us. So we have another Let's Chat scheduled for the 16th, which will be... I'm hoping to have that available for everyone on their podcast feeds by the 21st, I'm thinking, just to give myself a little bit of buffer there. But... I have a few plans for Let's Chats, and I need to run it by Green and Beard to hear their thoughts on it. But I'm really hoping that we can get that kind of off the ground a little bit more. But and again, just huge thank you to everybody for their support, both for the community as a whole and even in the chat as well. I really appreciate it. I haven't been these past few weeks, past few months, I haven't been available in the chat as much just simply because of increase in real life, which is, that's always got a double-edged sword. It pays the bills, but it also means I don't have enough time to do what I really enjoy doing. And I just really appreciate those who have stuck with us and who have continued to send continuous support and thoughts and, just their thoughts, their feedback on what we can do better. I can't iterate how much that helps and means to us as a team. So just a really big shout out to, to everyone in the community. But yeah, Green, a huge shout out to Green actually if you've gotten this far, who did the major lifting on this episode. So
Shizzler.
Well, yeah. And that's fair too. That's a fair point, Green. But you and Shizzler both, I think that needs to be stated as well. Big thank you for you guys taking the time and making sure that there's a comprehensive guide, I guess, to this world.
At least an introduction to the world. It's not comprehensive by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, but I think it does a good job of introducing you to, like, at least you walking into it, you kind of have a bit of familiarity with what's going on.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's mine.
That's kind of dovetailing into mine. I mentioned Shizzler. Shizzler is a FFC, he's one of our he's been around forever. Got the pleasure of meeting him last year at Guardians Con. little aloha to him. He plays Anthem. He did a ton of screen caps for us, and all of the information tonight actually came directly from in-game. I was able to, because of his work and time that he put into capturing everything, I was able to read through all of the cards and pull out the information that you guys got tonight. So a huge shout out and thank you to him for just, while he's playing, just being able to capture all of that, because I don't have nearly the amount of cards that he does, because a lot of the cards, just like in Destiny, you have little scannables type things. Granted, in Anthem, they're kind of shiny in the world. When you're flying around, they're just like these little shiny, shimmery points.
Yeah.
They're kind of hard to miss when you're flying. They're not like a ghost, which are, in my opinion, still really hard to see if you're not looking for them.
Mm-hmm.
But they are also all over the place and not easily found, and there's no maps for them. So Shiz did a ton of work pulling all that together for us.
Yep.
My second shout out is actually nothing related to video games in general.
No.
It goes to SpaceX. They just
had didn't that just happened, right?
That just happened early tonight. I actually watched it. They had a live stream of it on YouTube of the SpaceX Heavy Falcon launch, which is the first launch that they've done with this heavy body boosters. Normally they do like a single booster. The Heavy Falcon had 3 boosters.
Oh, wow.
And all 3 boosters came back and landed like SpaceX is known to do, which was really fascinating to watch, because not only the technology that is required to do that and the precision that is required to do that, but we're such a consumable society where all of the old shuttles, all of the heavy shuttles that got us to the moon were literally just throwaway shuttles. Once they were used up, you could never use the boosters again. And it's impressive to me, and a huge advancement in our space technology to be able to reuse boosters, because not only does it eventually cut down on cost in the long run, but it sustains the space program even longer, which is one of my favorite. I love NASA. I love the space program. I love the fact that we can go into outer space and put things out there that help not only our technology, but also just the development and our understanding of the universe. So anything related to that is important to me. And the stuff that SpaceX is doing now is just a really cool and fun and sustainable thing that I think should continue. I think that it is important that we continue to go to space, and SpaceX is making it possible. So thank you, Elon Musk. Shout out to you, sir.
Yeah, you're never going to hear any complaints from me about SpaceX.
I'll agree with SpaceX.
I know you don't like Elon Musk. It's fine.
It's okay. To be clear, it's not that I don't like him. I mean, he's a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but which genius isn't? But right. I mean, there's just some of the things I don't know. Yeah.
I understand there are politics and things, but the fact that the man has put together this
program... I mean, don't get me wrong. So a couple of our friends are actually engineers on that. So I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I have the utmost respect for what he has done professionally, academically. Like, it's amazing.
I'm sure personally he's probably not the best person who is.
It's just some of the quirks. Some of the quirks that he has. I'm like, really, dude? Okay.
I mean, to each their own.
Right.
And those people who worked on SpaceX are geniuses in my book, and I hope they keep doing what they're doing.
Oh yeah, no.
Bottom line.
They're keeping alive a program that Yeah. Needless to say, you want to talk about politics. Let's not get started on that one.
Please don't. Please don't make me do that.
Anyway, end of the episode. Turn over. No, there's no side B to this one. Lou, do you want to wrap us up though, since you are?
Yeah, no, I guess I am technically the host on this one. It feels like Green is just extending the top 3 this week. But yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyways, no, we'll we'll see you guys next week. Next week we are going to be talking about, I believe, dust. Not the stuff that our planets are made of, but the lore book itself. Which has been.
Is there really a difference?
We'll get into that next week.
It depends on how you want to talk about the red box that it comes in.
But I want to talk about it now.
We've been waiting for a long time to talk about this one. So yeah, we're all. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that we're all really excited about this conversation. Be sure to weigh in on the poll this weekend. I apologize for it being late. I completely forgot to put it up last night while I was editing the podcast with John. So yeah, take that how you will. Place blame wherever you feel is appropriate. Other than that, we'll see you guys next week. Hope you guys are having a great week, and we'll chat with you later.
Bye.
Oh yeah, Screwball. That's yeah. I work with a car guru guy, and I am subjected to his thoughts on Tesla all the time.
I'm sure.
It's yeah. Tesla it's one of those things where it's a great theory, but again, politics on how it has been done it's not that great. Like, there's things that have been done with it that just, I guess, I'm also speaking completely out of turn, to be 100% honest. So apparently there's stuff that car people don't like. I don't know.
Well, it's hard when they made the switch from everything being mechanical to electric. Car guys were really upset about that too.
Well, and I guess there's also a question on like the it's not sustainability, but like the viability of the claims of it being like super friendly for the environment. And it's just like,
oh, I'm sure,
because like he was telling me they use and I'm probably going to get yelled at for this one, but my understanding, preface there, my understanding was that they use lithium-ion batteries, which if you know how lithium is made or found, that's really bad. Like, it's not a good thing for the environment because it basically requires a shit ton of strip mining. And so like the claim of it being like more eco-friendly and all that stuff, he was just kind of like, he's like, it's not that it doesn't work, it works, but you don't yeah. Well, and then I think that was the other thing that was just recent though, Screwball, I think, right? Isn't that that's just recently?
I did not know that.
Yeah, that was a huge thing. But yeah, he was just like, you know, the claim that electric cars are like super eco-friendly, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I mean, it depends on how you collect the data, right? It's just like anything else. It depends on how you slice the data. Because if you look at what it takes to produce the batteries themselves, they're actually destroying a large amount of stuff. And it's just a question of, what's the trade-off, basically? Which, you know, then that gets into opinions and, you know, all that stuff. So, but I'm because I was actually looking at the Leaf from Nissan the other day. And I was like, I'm like, what's the range on this thing? Yeah, I'm gonna need longer than that. Like I don't have a problem with the idea at all. It's just, you know, I've used cell phones for a while, and cell phone batteries is the example they keep going back to. And I'm like, yeah, after a year, do you know what happens with cell phone batteries? There's a reason one of my like big requirements for the longest time for cell phones was that it had a removable battery. It's so you can replace it without having to buy a new phone. So yeah, it's just but no, it's and then like I don't know, the dude just has he's just said some weird stuff. Like it's just wonky. Yeah, the rant on AI is hilarious, but that's just he's super paranoid about stuff.
He's a strange dude. But,
he's an odd duck. Yeah, sorry, Screwball. Chevy Volt was actually the one that it was up against was Nissan Leaf and the Chevy Volt. Because my understanding is that the Volt sucked, and then recently, I think it was this year or last year, the model that they finally came out with, they finally fixed like all the problems. But sorry, what was that, Beard?
I was just gonna say how I think it's funny that yes, Elon's a weirdo, but that seems to be like what it is you need to do in order to
and I think it's also
continue to think the way that
I was just about to say I think it's a testament to how he processes information, right? Like if you
people call me a weirdo all the time. What does that tell you?
Well, and
you're
if
in the
you
midst
look
of greatness here, guys.
Yeah, like if great minds think alike. I'm pretty comfortable with that. But no, because like I mean, they said the same stuff about all the other.
I mean, Blue, why do you gotta insult me like that?
You know, I gotta keep you on your toes. I still think the watch comment is the best, like, distraction point from the podcast. Like, it's just oh my god, I literally
it was so funny.
Sorry
about Shadow.
No,
you're talking about stuff from Wednesday, aren't you?
Yeah. So it was like I'll spoil it for the people in chat just a little bit, but it was like they were in the middle of this rant debate. Like I can't even. Was it about in-game? Was that the one that I can't even remember? I don't even. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter because they were in the middle of this like pseudo heated debate, and all of a sudden you hear this, and John stops, and he's like, "Oh, I switched on my watch. It's been transcribing everything I said."
My watch has been recording this whole time. Yeah,
that's funny.
So funny.
It's just like, and then the conversation didn't go back because he got so distracted. It was like,
oh my gosh.
He was just like, wait, what were we talking about again? I was just like, I don't know, John.
I have no idea. The other fun one was...
I think you were yelling at me about something.
The other fun one was, so you know this game, was it Dig? The Dig? Is that the
Dig,
one? Yeah. You're like, you know about this game, The Dig? And he's like, no, not really. He's like, oh, okay. Well, there goes that theory.
Yeah, really. Well, it doesn't necessarily get killed because it could be something completely like side graded and whatnot.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think
it can also be in relation to anybody that's talking about Cocytus, which I don't know who is generally involved in that right now.
Yeah, I don't at this point.
Yeah.
At this point, I think it's a crap shot on who. It sounds like there's a lot of that particularly has a lot of crossover. Oh my god, people throw the batteries at the forge, not each other.
Here you have me on this like frantically looking through Blue China at this point, thanks to your damn theory from the beginning of the episode, like before we started the episode.
It's freaking come on. Like, come on.
I'm looking through like all these different, like there's a particular type of blue china that my mother collects, so I'm like, oh my god, I wonder if that's the type, and I can't find it, of course.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that gets to be a little bit too specific almost.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But the blue china type there's certainly there.
There's a lot of possibilities in that angle. I'm not sure which direction they want to go, how they want to play it, etc. But
you're talking about the
Ada
one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her gear as a whole. Yeah, I don't know. Might be fun. I mean, I'm gonna bring up the possibilities of like what goes into her equipment sets and whatnot, or like what goes into her general construction. I think at one point
only one that has like these weird ceramic tattoo things.
Well,
she's a different exo in a lot of
rights.
Yeah. She doesn't fit the traditional bills at all.
Well, and to be fair, ceramic body armor is not an uncommon concept. I mean,
no,
not at all.
Dragon mail, for God's sake, is basically ceramic plates.
Right. That's not the thing that gets me. It's the blue tree print on it. The ceramic plating isn't what gets me. It's the print.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough.
Yep.
Lux, go to bed.
Oh, is this tell Lux to go to bed hour?
Yes, because Lux doesn't sleep.
This server, I don't know what.
Okay.
I'm like, and you're expecting, well, you're not going to get us
I'm not telling you to. I'm telling Lux to. You, I've given up on long ago.
Oh, man.
But Lux has had moments where like he'll pass out for 24 hours straight because his body is trying to recoup.
Yeah, I know how that one goes.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, well, Screwball or Wicked. That was it was badly. It was bungled. It was bungled from the start on that one.
Ada's not a Clovis Bray exo body, is she? Nope.
She is not.
And
nope.
That's where the problems begin.
That's where the fun begins. What are you talking about, problems?
I was going to say, far from problems. My goodness.
It's the marriage between two great companies.
3.
Is it though?
Oh, 3 more. 3 more and I'll have this Black Armory book done.
You're cutting out.
Oh, I was saying 3 more forges and I'll get the Black Armory book.
Sweet.
Because it's pretty much dropping at 100% right now.
They fixed that. They
What?
made it it used to be RNG. Yeah. It's a guaranteed drop now if you complete the forge.
It is a guaranteed drop? That's why I'm having like 1 or 2 people AFKing the entire time.
So if you still have to complete it. You won't drop it. So basically,
what these guys are doing is I'm having like every round I go through, there's at least one person who AFKs the first round, and then like moves the second round, and then maybe puts in a shot on the boss. Like
that's dumb.
It's not. I mean, this forge is not difficult. I think this is the Go
still dumb.
Whatever the one. It's like you got a giant floating freaking target. It's not. But whatever. Yeah, the 50 cal resistance was just like the awesome part though. Because oh my god, the ability to stop a 50 caliber bullet on scale mail basically is, it would be so nice and so efficient.
Scary.
Oh yeah, well no, I mean, but it also like that's extremely useful. But yeah, the problem was it a 9mm demonstration that they bungled up? Because they didn't do something right. I can't remember exactly. It was a while back too, if I remember. Right, yeah. You'll fall over from it. Because, it's a fucking 50 caliber round. Like, that takes a bit of a force. Ah! I actually really like these forges. Like the mechanics are kind of nice.
I'm glad some people do. I just didn't enjoy them. It's not that I don't enjoy the horde mode type aspect to it. It's just I don't know.
I just like the fact that it's
problem child.
I just like the fact that it's like a mixture, like, because I'm not a huge fan of the horde mode, but like the idea of like you have to find the little glowy guys to find the batteries to then power it up. I think that's a really cool little mechanic.
I think it's the tight spaces that I really dislike. Because Reckoning, it's the same concept-ish without having to deal with the batteries. I like Reckoning a lot. It's still a horde mode, but you have a lot more space to go through. Don't trap me in with them.
Oh no, he dodged the arrow. Get back here.
You're using a bow?
Yeah.
Which one are you using?
The Ender one.
Wish Ender?
Yeah. I likes it.
Good. I'm glad you do.
It kicks like a freaking horse.
It's a giant longbow.
Yeah, it's a Yemen's bow. I love it. I love it. But I mean, like, it actually, like, even though it's got technically the same, I have another bow that's, I think, the same, like, slightly less impact. It's very similar to it. But this one, like, I don't know what it is, but this one, the Wishender, seems to stagger things a lot faster.
So, you know what I'm going to try to do? It's not next week, thank God. I needed a couple weeks off. I'm going to try to get that special emblem for Iron Banner. Well, there's two.
Yeah, well, you're... yeah. Yeah.
Are you going to say I'm a masochist?
Masochist, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, that's just... I granted, for the, like, last 3 seasons, I have not been light level, so Iron Banner has been kind of its own form of hell. But, I mean, that being said, I have...
at home.
Yeah, pretty much. I was about to say, that being said, I have finished all the requisite Triumph challenges for each season, so I can't complain too much. But, that's a giant shank!
So, you know what that bounty or that Triumph is, right, Blue?
Yeah, the one that... Because you're on the second part, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're on the 9th Ring of Hell part.
Yeah, now you're just showing off Triumph.
Yeah.
Where you
Speaking
instead of
9th Ring of Hell.
Uh-oh.
Yep. What's that one called again? Oh yeah, it's like a river that separates the river Styx, and
it's
apparently
like
has a gate. Yeah, apparently has a gate that summons tar monsters.
That might also, I don't know, have a thing that.
Yeah, I'm still like trying.
Also might be frozen over.
Yeah, I'm trying so hard not to fall down that rabbit hole every time I read that card, like, or read about that. Like,
wait, which card are you talking about?
The concept of Cocytus is.
Oh,
like Cocytus.
Gotcha.
Cocytus is it the lake or is it the river? I can never remember.
It's the river, I thought.
Well, isn't it both? Because isn't it the plane of ice upon which all of them are frozen in?
Dante's Inferno will say that it's a frozen lake.
Right. Okay. So it's the grid
idea. Yeah, but the Greek myth will follow the
river,
where it's the river.
Mm-hmm.
And then my point with the dig was how they landed on this planet, called it Cocytus, and they found this alien race that was in a completely different dimension that went through a gate system besides. You know, they played with this whole idea that is sort of built off of how the Greek myth sort of plays or had played.
Well, it's very similar to the concept of Thananonauts being based off or being very uncannily similar to the Verber novel from, like, what was it, 94 or 95, where it's like
that,
I mean, like, oh my god, that trilogy is so weird but so good at the same time. But like their whole, like, idea of exploring, because was it Australia, if I remember correctly? which is just fucking hilarious to begin with, because Australia is obviously the land of the death. Like,
I mean, have you seen those spiders?
Everything's trying to kill you.
Drop bears? What?
Oh my god. Have you seen a freaking koala? Those things are demented. What is this dreg doing?
That is a lot of things put together that I did not expect to hear together.
Well, you know,
the koala, that thing is demented. Something.
Oh no, have you seen? All right, hang on. To the internets. Where did my web browser go?
It's a dangerous thing. I blame Dwyer if he's still in here.
Mr. Sandman.
Sing me a song. I don't know all the words. I wish I did. So Log Power Slave was on DCP tonight.
Yep.
Was that tonight or last night?
It's tonight because they needed to reschedule it, so Log was awake.
Oh, that's right. Is he
because Australia?
Is he in the same time zone as Myland or the other side?
I'm not sure if he's on the same side or not. I've never actually talked to him about that.
I think they're opposite.
Okay, they're opposite. So he's, what's that, 2 hours?
Yeah.
Koala's weird. Or not koala. Oh, there it is. Australia's weird. It's got like 3 time zones, and they can't figure out which area they want.
I mean, it's not like we're much better.
I mean, well, Arizona?
Okay. Listen, Arizona. That's exactly what I was going to say.
It's like, I would rather the entire United States not do the time shift.
But, yeah, you know. But I'll be honest. Once we moved to the Midwest, it did make a lot more sense why everybody did the daylight savings time.
Yeah, I get why.
Growing up in Texas, it was like, all right, we're just gonna arbitrarily move time that doesn't affect anything because it didn't change. Like, it doesn't change because you're so close to you're much closer to the equator, I guess I should say. Yeah. So, like,
but even then, it's just like the only reason that people really messed with it was because of having to work outside, right? Yeah, farming.
Yeah, welcome to electricity screwing up things.
Right. So it's like, why are we doing this still?
Oh yeah, so I sent you the picture of the koala.
The fuck is that thing?
That's a koala.
Is it?
Yes.
It looks. Oh, okay. So in Discord,
basically
by itself, it looks like just glowing eyes on the silhouette.
Well, that's pretty much what that person.
But I pulled up the image.
So that person who took that picture, that's pretty much all they saw. They walked into their garage and there's a koala sitting. I think it may be a 4Runner.
It's like a Jeep of some sort.
And which, I mean, it's not an uncommon car. But they said it's like it's just sitting there, and it's like he's like, okay, I'm gonna
Screwball once you put it on the screen.
All right, hang on real quick
so they can see it.
Let me survive this round of. But yeah, no. So like my sister went to Australia, and she said that the people who are the handlers for the koala, like, they look super fluffy and cute and cuddly. They're bastards. Like, they will rip you apart. She said the handlers were only allowed to let them touch them for like 5 or 10 minutes before they had to give them more eucalyptus leaves, because if the koalas aren't buzzed off eucalyptus leaves, they get pissy. And they have really they have like talons that are like inch or 2 inches or 3 inches long. So the handlers have to wear like basically leather armor on their upper, like, not just their arms, but their entire like torso. Yeah. And she said that when she was talking to the one girl that was their I guess I don't know what the fuck they're called, handler or whatever. She said that they have to replace it like every other month. Because the koalas, if they get pissy, they just rip through it. Like, it's just paper to them. It's just ridiculous. I was like, well, that's not a teddy bear. She's like, nope.
They sleep 16 to 22 hours a day.
Yeah, because they're high as a kite otherwise. And if they're not high as a kite, they're trying to kill you because they're pissed off.
I mean, I know people who are like that on caffeine.
Oh, yeah. I'm totally one of them.
Not kidding.
On caffeine or
off caffeine?
When he's not.
When I don't have caffeine. Just don't talk. Like, just... Actually, if I don't have caffeine, I'm probably passed out somewhere, to be honest. Green can also back up that claim.
Mm-hmm. Although I'm not too much better without caffeine at this point. Not as weird as a cube pooping wombat. What?
Yeah, that's also really
Australia
weird.
Is that also is? God,
Yes.
Australia is weird.
Wombats are adorable though. Like they're kind of like they're just adorable. Like they're not gonna kill you. Koalas will legit, I feel like, just rip your throat out, and they look cute. I will not argue this fact, but that's also terrifying.
I mean,
and kangaroos. Don't get me started on kangaroos because those
kangaroos
fuckers,
are dicks.
Those fuckers are terrifying. I remember we had a couple Australians in Leroy back when we were doing D1 runs, and like there were so many times that our raids would get interrupted by fucking kangaroos. Like, these guys lived in the suburbs and they had to go out into their garage and stuff like that because the kangaroos would break in and just destroy shit. It was like, really? Really, dude? It's a 7.5 foot tall asshole.
Mm-hmm. So, where I grew up, there was a doctor who essentially, his wife was a zoology major at one point, and so the doctor decided to buy her a zoo. They had a kangaroo that broke out and beat the shit out of like 5 people out where I grew up.
I mean, you're lucky if you survive. Like that's the thing with them is they'll kill you because I think it's the dew claw that the kangaroo has. It'll just open you up.
Mm-hmm. It's like the velociraptor in mammal form.
Yeah, plus the back legs are just fucking so strong. Don't.
Oh my gosh, it's so easy right now.
What?
EP is just super easy now.
Yeah, I know. I actually finished one the other day. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but
had you not finished one before?
Nope.
Wait, that's a dumb question.
Yeah, I was about to say, think about this. No, I was just running. I was running. I don't even remember what I was running. I was doing something else, and I just got lumped into one, and I just ran it, and we just completely blew through it. It's like, okay, well, that's a lot easier than I remember it being.
Mm-hmm. EP definitely is actually not bad at all now.
No.
You don't even have to really know what you're doing to finish it.
Yep, I know. I proved that because I had no fucking clue what was going on. I got a hold of an interceptor, and I just stayed on the outside.
What are you turning into a meme, Wicked? The delay is kind of got me.
Oh, the koala?
No, I don't think it's the koala. It's something I said, I think.
I got the ladybug shell.
Nice. I got I think it's not quite the rabbit. I got one of the shells that has ears.
The atrocity.
I got one of the bunnies.
The atrocities.
I'm not using it.
Oh yeah, the nice thing the nice thing about the ladybug shell that I don't know if this is on all of them or not, but it's got a boost to the XP. So it's got like a 10% boost to XP gained. I was like, meh. I'll throw that on there. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, cool.
I have the lapines shell. I guess it is the bunny shell.
That's the one I got.
So weird. I don't like it.
I got the mayfly ship.
I have that too. I like the mayfly. I don't like.
You don't like it?
No, I don't like the rabbit shell. It's too
that's
weird.
That's a fucking abomination. That just needs to... What is this one? Futurecraft shell? What is this? Oh, this is a forged shell. It's a fucking pancake.
All right. All right, I'm going to go to bed because Julie and I are going to get up and go to the farmer's market in the morning. And before she has to go to work, and I'm streaming tomorrow, so some sleep shall be required.
Alrighty. All right, stream.
Night, you two. Night stream.
Night stream. You guys have a good one. Bye.